up with you, man? What you looking at, Kimasabi?
You want to punch me right now? You want to punch me right now, but you won't.
You want to punch me too, Brennan? You guys both look like you might want to hit me in the face. You do, I can tell. Well, why don't you do it? Why don't you punch me in the face? Punch me in the fucking face! Oh! 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 No, my shoulder! That was awesome! Mom! Mom!
Hey, Derek, you know what's always good for shoulder pain?
What?
If you lick my butthole.
Welcome to the Thursday Show. My name is Brian, that is Shane, and we are the Popcast brothers. And this is the Popcast Unleashed every Thursday around this time, where we get salty and fun, and we get to talk about the news and what we feel, and maybe rant a little bit, cry, laugh. A lot of crying lately.
I'm
starting
to think that's the purpose of the Thursday show, so Brian can rant.
Yeah.
I noticed we have a pirate ship now. Like the demonetization intros have become so every week you add a new element. It's like I can see your like inner aggression, like that you've been hiding very well, like coming out in our intros.
Yes, that's what's happening.
Well, hey everybody out there, thanks for coming and watching us today. See everybody in the chat. As you stroll in, please give us a thumbs up so we can get this served out there. Brian, we have some pretty cool things to talk about today.
Yeah, even if we're being served, because I noticed that on the Unleashed channel, our sub count has stalled, and that's probably because we were demonetized.
Yes, yeah, we're definitely getting crushed right now. But hey, it is what it is. So got to keep trucking.
Yeah, when you get demonetized, YouTube's like, you know what? Screw you.
It's a punishment. It's like a reward punishment thing that all of these third-party companies use.
But they also go, you know what? You also need to keep your metrics up, because if you want to get remonetized, you have to reach these metrics.
Well, the goal is to knock your butt down, get you on your knees, and then make you crawl through the shit.
Right.
And to find out if you really want to be here or not. The money they make off us, their 40% or whatever is not going to change their lives. So they don't really care as long as they can make sure that we bow to the wants and desires and needs of YouTube, which we pretty much failed to do at this point. So
we did. We failed to do that. Well, you know what? It is going to be a fantastic day. I hope my levels are okay, because
sound good.
Okay, cool. All right. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about the video we just put out. Timelines.
Oh, you know what? Before we do that, I just want to say that today is the last day of the 4th decade of my life. So today I'm 49. Oh. Tomorrow I will be 50. So, milestone. It's probably the only milestone I'll probably have in my life. So, yeah. So I just wanted to
get
point
to
that
60, bro. You're acting like you're not going to get to 60.
Well, 60 is not a milestone. Like 50 is 30 is a milestone, 50 is a milestone, and I'd probably say like 80 is a milestone. But I don't think, maybe I'll make it to 80. That'd be cool. But maybe. I'm not going to keep my fingers crossed on that one.
Well,
I will keep my fingers crossed, but I'm not going to bet on it.
Yeah, YouTube keeps our blood pressure nice and high. So the leading cause of death in the Western world is heart disease. Remember
that's right. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Yeah. So we are. First off, congratulations, Shane.
Thank you.
Had I remembered, I would have had your happy birthday video.
Oh. Well, that's okay. I didn't expect you to remember.
Damn it.
Yeah, I didn't. But what's funny is it's not really a congratulations. I mean, I managed to somehow keep from like stepping out into the street and getting hit by a car, or somehow coming down with some illness, or not getting killed in the war. So it's kind of all worked itself out. So I'm fortunate to be here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that's true. So what we are talking about today, we're talking about the video we just put out, Star Trek's 3, possibly 4 timelines. We're gonna be reading some of the comments on there that's this morning that came out this morning. It always astounds me how people will both refute our video, but in the same exact comment prove our video. It drives me nuts.
Well, common sense doesn't necessarily mean much these days.
Ain't that the truth?
People have opinion.
Yeah. Oh, so my levels are a little bit low compared to Shane. I knew it.
Well, you sound good to me.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna turn you down a little bit.
Oh well, so that's what you do.
Because later on when I upload
Go back on the rewatch
as a podcast,
yeah,
one of us is always too high.
Well, you should stop smoking that stuff.
Oh God, that's a dad joke, everyone.
I'm 50 tomorrow, so I think I qualify for them.
Yeah, you're allowed to tell dad jokes now.
It's funny. You do these funny internet things like you do like LFG, like that meme that you put out when you like sent me a Slack message or something. It was like LFG and like
go.
Right. So here's what's funny. LFG used to mean it was a gaming term that meant looking for group. So when you played like massive player online games, it was LFG. Everybody was LFG because they're looking for a group. So this whole time for like the last, I don't know, year that you've been using this meme or I've seen it, I keep thinking he's looking for a group. What's going on here? I was like so confused. And just today I figured out it was let's fucking go. Okay.
Yeah. My kids were stoked that they learned, like that they've been actively using like Gamer Elite Speak, their version of it. And AFK is still AFK, thank God. But
even though they don't have keyboards, but yeah,
right. That's what I was gonna say. Like they on Fortnite or whatever, they'll be like AFK, and they're like, and they'll have to go do their chores or something. And I'm always like, wait a minute, you guys know what that means, right? And my kid's like, yeah, away from keyboard. I'm like, where's your keyboard, L?
They're like, Dad, don't make a big deal out of it. This is the way it is.
But the internet lingo does change and evolve over generations. Different generations and introduce their own.
Would you say it changes and devolves? Okay,
I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's an evolution.
Well, I feel like, I think as I get older, I feel like the language gets dumber. So, and I don't know. It's like it feels more dumbed down. But then again, I guess that's a natural progress of life, perhaps. So I try to remember that when I'm judging it.
Listen, as long as AFK never goes away, I'm okay. Okay.
All right.
I don't want that. I don't like in 10 years. I don't want AFK to mean like always being knowing or something. Always.
AFK is going to be some. It's going to end up being some like musician's name. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to be AFK, and then it'll take it over.
Yeah. He legally changed his name to AFK. He only has 3 digits on his left hand. You're like, what happened, dude?
Yeah, that's a story.
All right. So aside from the timeline video, we are also talking about Ahsoka. Star Wars Ahsoka, that is.
Well, but also we have Star Trek news. So we're going to do our video, then Star Trek news.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Star Trek news. Okay. And then Ahsoka. And then we're doing, today we start our new weekly segment, and we're going to stick with this one because it's not tied to any specific thing that's going to go away.
Yeah, we'll see.
No, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Box office report.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
It's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be here before. By the time
it could.
We'll be gone, and there'll still be a box office.
No, the theaters could close. It could happen.
That's true, but there'll have to be some metrics on what's successful, and that'll be the new box
Oh,
office.
the streaming numbers. Oh, that's right. They don't tell us those. Never mind.
Anyways, in the box office report, we're going to be talking about Blue Beetle, because it is so frustrating to me to see such a little gem of a movie, just get lambasted, and it's dying on its feet. Meanwhile, so many of these vapid, stupid, just movies that have no heart whatsoever make $1 billion.
I wonder which one you're talking about. All right,
I'm not talking about anything in particular.
But we'll get to that in our box office. Do you have a special one for this? We don't have the weekly Terry.
I haven't made it yet. I was too busy.
It's going to be like
I will make a stinger. And it'll be like something like really masculine and manly.
Okay.
It'll have like explosions and lens flares. It'll be like a blockbuster version.
Let's call it box office biceps.
Box office biceps. Just a strong guy lifting weights.
Right.
Also, we're going to talk about David Ayer today. David Ayer is a talented dude. He is a writer, director, and if you recall, he did the first, or he was doing the first Suicide Squad before it was unceremoniously ripped from his hands. They ripped his baby from his hands and peed on it,
and let the company who made the trailer do an edit on it.
Right? I was like, hey, listen, man.
Everybody loved that trailer, man. That was great.
Thanks for your hard work. People really like the trailer, so you're fucking fired.
That's like the brains of Warner Brothers. Like, I got to tell you, like there has been some real dummies running that business.
Yeah, there really has been. It's the craziest thing, because I talk to people who are completely left of me. They're the opposite of me. We're still friends, but they're like they're the antithesis of my beliefs. In fact,
does that mean you're right? You said they're left of you. Does that make you right?
I don't know. Isn't that what everyone always says? They're left of me.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So on your political spectrum, all of you, the friends that are left of you,
right?
Okay, they disagree with you. Now, the friends that are right of you, are there any?
Yeah, no, I got some right wing friends.
Oh.
I'm like,
the ones that wear the hoods. Is that what?
You need to calm down, bro. Okay, it's weird that you think that JFK is still alive and he's gonna come out and save the country. It's a weird thing. Anyways,
that's probably a left thing, actually. But yeah,
no. They're the QAnon people thought that JFK was like secretly alive.
Well, JFK was a Democrat. He was a left liberal.
I know, but
so it's interesting that the far right has now adopted JFK. That would make Stephen King very upset, because he is extraordinarily upset still about JFK. So,
well, tell Stephen King that some presidents that were Republican and some presidents that were Democrats had back then just had different agendas that now, if you stacked it up against current parties, they might have different letters next to their names.
Yeah, and speaking of politics, well, we're not going to talk about it on this channel. We are going to make fun of the Republican event that occurred last night, which Donald Trump decided he was going to do his own thing. Surprise, surprise. And we'll just tickle that a little later.
Yeah, he got 107, has 70 million views or whatever. Trump broke Twitter or somehow.
It wasn't even that interesting. Like, he didn't say anything new.
No, he was on his best behavior, but he's still broke the platform. So anyways, David Ayer was doing Suicide Squad. They took it from, long story short, we're going to be getting a Suicide Squad Ayer cut. And the Suicide Squad, if you remember the first one, not Suicide Squad, but the Suicide Squad, or
no, the Suicide Squad was the first one, right? No, the second one. See, the first one was Suicide Squad. The second one was the Suicide Squad, because they were trying to hide that shit from the first one that happened.
Yeah. So the first one was Suicide Squad. The second one was the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah, and funny enough, James Gunn made the second one, and now he's the head of the studio. Imagine being David Ayer, and you're like, "Hey man, you think I can come in and finish my movie?"
No, it's a good move, because, you know, regardless of how you feel about the Snyder Cut, it did really well for HBO.
Yeah, it did.
So the Ayer Cut, it was also that same fan base was like, okay, now that we've released the Snyder Cut, let's release the Ayer Cut.
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about that. So apparently, it's a hard
business
R
type of thing.
Yeah,
right?
And it's a hard R movie, and there's a lot more to it. And there's a lot. We went over to social media. There's stuff to talk about there. Also, speaking of David Ayer, apparently he worked on Fast and the Furious, and because the way Hollywood works, he was cut out of the franchise, and it went on to spawn 8 more movies, and he's gotten not a penny. So David Ayer is getting he needs a better business manager.
He needs a break, is what he needs. He needs a break.
He needs a better agent or something. I don't know.
He needs a better last name, something more pronounceable, something more memorable. It's like hard to like say it. Ayer, you know, it's like David Ayer. You know, it needs to be like David Ass Kicker. You know, something better than Ayer.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, that's what we're talking about today. It's all
right.
fun stuff. It's going to be a great show. So
I feel like there's more, but I don't know.
I mean, I think I named everything. Star Trek, timelines, box office, Osaka.
Maybe something will just pop up as we go along.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So bottom line is we're going to jump right into it. And we're going to start with the timelines, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because
if you, so if you watch the video, and go ahead and pimp it out.
All right. So what we did was we did a video that went out this morning.
And thanks to everybody here who showed up to the premiere. We premiered it, so that was cool.
Yeah, we're still wary of premieres, to be honest.
Yeah.
So as many of you guys that can watch it and the premiere, the better. We might not do it if it doesn't like have some kind of good positive outcome. So far,
we're going to try one that can do a 24 hours advance notice, and then it's depending on how that does. I think that'll depend on if we do premieres.
Yeah, because they haven't been doing great. Anyways, this is the video. Oh, let me here. This is the video, and it's pretty good. There's a couple things in here that I want to highlight that I put a lot of effort into that Shane didn't seem to notice. But then I want to go through the comments, and I have a couple questions for you, Shane, because you're the one that wrote this thing. Is that cool? Can I put you on the under the microscope?
Yeah, only if you want like the brutal, honest truth.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I ever want.
Yes. Then I'm here for you. I'll do it.
Okay. So first off, Dominic Keating is in this video.
Yeah, he is.
And it's pretty funny. You know what Shane didn't notice, and I bet you maybe other people didn't notice, but I put the melody behind his voice.
Activity.
But now it canceled, they can kiss
So
my
you actually
ass.
had the melody of
They can go to
So basically he sings a little bit of the Star Trek theme song. And by the way, if you check into our next video, you're going to get all of the Star Trek theme song that Connor or that Dominic sings. So
yeah, our next video is about Enterprise, and we put the entire theme song. And let me tell you something. There's a reason why we cut the majority of it out of this one, because he starts cursing and saying pretty inappropriate things. So it's good stuff.
It was hilarious. Having Dominic and Connor Trenier on the show. Of course, you guys know him as Malcolm Reed and Trip Tucker from Enterprise. Was that especially Dominic? He's like a loose cannon. Like, I don't think the guy has any governor and will just pretty much say anything that comes to his mind, which makes for a fantastic podcast. So
yeah, it says whatever he wants. Yeah, so that is one thing I wanted to express to you. Another thing too is, can you say temporal for me?
Temporal.
Okay, you said it right. So it's very interesting. Shane is one of the most well-spoken people I've ever met in my life. But there's certain words that he says that I'm not even sure if it's on purpose or what, but he says them so wrong.
What did I say? Did I say it wrong?
Yeah, you said, yeah, you did. You didn't say temporal agents. You said temporal agents.
Temporal. Well, sometimes I am reading. And you got to understand, it's not about just like reading, but you're like acting. So voice acting is acting. It actually is, because you have the words, but you're also trying to bring forth a certain emotion. You're trying to make somebody feel a certain way. So it's more than just reading the words off it. So I would not be surprised at all if while reading it, I saw like tempura shrimp or something like that. And I was like, I was hungry, right? And I was thinking, as I'm reading, I'm like, when's the last time my wife got that stuff? I'm like, I'm 50 tomorrow. I should get tempura shrimp.
Yeah.
And so like this whole thing happens. And so perhaps the word comes out incorrectly. This is why there are two of us doing this, because you catch these problems.
Yeah, the thing is, it's interesting because I missay words all the time. Like that's like pretty much my character at this point. Like, I'm gonna get your name wrong. I'm gonna say this word wrong. I'm probably gonna get the meaning of the word wrong. It's gonna happen. It's not that I'm an idiot. It's really just that I don't put enough thought into what's coming out of my mouth sometimes. If I sat there and I considered every single word and made a carefully measured response, it would be boring and slow.
and therefore boring and slow.
I mean, you're
There
not
you
boring and stuff.
Well,
So is that so? What happened when you said Narnia in the last video?
No, that is how you pronounce it.
Except for it's not.
Okay, and I don't want to go deep into this, but listen, when there were books, surprise, surprise, there was no freaking TV or movies or anything else. It was, as a child, you got the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh my God,
right?
stop it.
No, listen, okay. So when you were a child, though, they had these movies come out. And so you got to hear the pronunciation that they obviously are probably correct. But for decades, all it was what I had in my head, which was the Chronicles of Narnia. So there you go.
Okay, we're going to put a poll up. And
no, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying that's the way it is to me. And you can shut the hell up if you think I'm going to change it, because I'm not going to stop saying it the way that I learned it as a child. So that's it.
Let me ask you guys a question.
So if you ever get any Narnia videos, it's going to be Narnia.
It's going to drive me nuts.
I'm sorry. Well, we won't do any.
I'm putting a poll up right now.
Well, we're going to have to, because that crazy lady is doing Narnia. So we're going to be talking about it.
We are.
Did you know that Narnia was actually one of the first fantastical places
saying
I read
it like
about?
that. It's driving me nuts.
I mean, I loved when C.S. Lewis wrote the Narnia Chronicles.
Oh God. Okay, so you guys hit that poll and tell me the proper way to say Narnia.
They can't. Okay, how did you do the poll?
Narnia versus Narnia.
Lord.
All right. So the thing is this. Okay, it's not just movies, books, but there are interviews, and I don't have the.
No, there were no interviews.
Yes, there are. There are written interviews about Narnia, the Narnia books.
Written interviews, yes.
Yes.
But nobody's saying how it's said.
But they're writing it on a page.
But nobody's saying how it's said. There's no. You gave everybody a nice little break there in the wording, but that's not the way it looks in the book.
Oh my God. Okay.
Right? There's no accent over one of the syllables. So that's the way I read it, and that's the way it is for me.
All right.
It's like Middle Earth. Like when I first read the Lord. I'm just kidding. It's not middle. It's Middle Earth. You said Middle Earth.
I know. I was like, there's no way. There's no way he's saying he's doing this.
I could do this all day long, by the way. So I would just move on.
Yeah, I'm moving on from this. But you know what? What's her name? Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig is making Chronicles of Narnia, which I don't like that. It's bothering me. But that means we'll get to talk about it.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be good.
And I do love me some Chronicles of Narnia.
As I said in the Barbie video, Edmund and Peter are going to get whipped into shape by their sisters. I'm sure it's going to happen.
Yeah, Lucy's going to be like, Edwin, get your gimp mask on, and where's your chastity belt?
Put the ball back in your mouth.
Put the ball back in your mouth, Edwin. Peter just on a gimp. Okay, so let's talk about these comments real quick. We got to talk about.
Well, can we talk about the video's about first before we do the comments?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
So if you haven't seen the video, go watch it. It's, look, there's a little bit of disagreement because, the guys who made Strange New Worlds, Akiva Goldsman, decided, hey, let's do this cool thing where we make Star Trek in our universe. Because right now it's not in our universe because 1990s came and there was no eugenics wars. World War III is not, happening, although maybe with this thing with Russia. But so he decided he wanted Star Trek to be our actual aspirational future and chose to take season 2, episode 3 of Strange New Worlds and make that like a change to the timeline. So he wanted to move Star Trek forward about 50 years. So if you watch this video, it's like, look, a lot of people who've been watching Discovery and Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks and some of these shows have all said, this sure the heck doesn't feel like the prime timeline or the original timeline.
Right.
And so up till now, there's been nothing to argue that point because anything you put down on film, put it down is canon, right? That's the rule of Star Trek, and so we've had to just accept it. And then they did this, which means that and my argument, you go watch the video, the argument is that if the Kelvin timeline can be created because Spock and Nero fall through a black hole and destroy a ship, then I promise you, moving the entire major events of Earth 50 years into the future, and including a major character in the Star Trek universe, it means you splintered it and you started a new branch timeline.
Yeah, and in their own words, moving something that is so important to the universe around that time itself is fighting you.
Right. So they took this idea, and by the way, this is not a Star Trek thing. Like time doesn't fight.
It's a bad idea. Time
but
is not
Stephen King
sentient.
came up with it.
It's
Well,
like
actually,
I think it's a Doctor Who thing. It's like fixed points or whatever. I remember back in I remember when I was young watching old Doctor Who talk about fixed points in time and wibbly wobbly whatever nonsense.
Right. But Stephen King actually made time a character. Like it made time a force where it like pushes back and would actually like throw different things. If you ever watch, and this is a great novel that Stephen King wrote, 11/22/63.
Is that
If
the
you've
one with
ever,
James Franco?
no, it's not, because James Franco is not in the novel, and he absolutely screwed up that movie that they made of, or miniseries they made, which was terrible.
I watched it and I was like,
God, James Franco was terrible.
I wonder why Shane likes this.
I didn't. It was terrible.
Yeah, I thought you liked that every time you referred to that, I thought you were talking about that specific.
No, the novel is fantastic though, and the way it's developed, and it does a lot of Anyways, the point is in this novel, like time's actually trying to stop the guy from changing time, and so they're alluding to this in Star Trek universe. And what's really jacked up is this futuristic Romulan lady that's trying to kill Khan. Showed up in 1992 and has been trying to kill Khan for 30 years. So his birth is like moving around. Time has been changed not once, not twice, but multiple times. Time after time after time after time has been changed. Do you know how many branch timelines have been created based on all of the different times that they've moved things around? For 30 years, she's been trying to kill him, right? She's been stuck in the past. And we also find out that like current late 20th, early 21st century Romulans are actually like people of that time are screwing with humanity. Right. So yeah, I mean, listen, Akiva and you guys, whatever you decided to do, whether it was, look, we really can't afford to do a time period piece, so we're just going to move everything forward. And I strongly suspect that was what the original thinking was. Well, we got to work within the budget, so why not? Star Trek should be our aspirational future. We'll just lead with that. Well, the problem is when you make a change like that, you can't simply make that change and then expect, when Khan is supposed to meet Kirk for the first time in TOS during Space Seed, he's not going to be there. And you can't just, and the comment Akiva was like, well, nothing else has to change. Well, of course, everything else has to change. There's 50 years that happen. You can't just, if you just all of a sudden now have him show up, I mean, like what, that's
how does it even make sense? If he's if the eugenic wars is the catalyst eventually for World War III, right?
Well, we don't know if that's specifically.
I mean, I think it was though, right?
I don't think it says that the eugenic wars caused World War III, but that was the start of shit going down for sure.
Okay, so regardless, like both those things haven't happened yet. If you don't send him in his rocket ship at this time, in his slow-moving generational ship that is operating on nuclear power or whatever, it's certainly not going to be at the same coordinates when Kirk and Spock show up. Obviously. That's like throwing a ball tomorrow and expecting it yesterday. It makes no sense. By the way, I wasn't talking about David Tennant, my friend. I did like him. I was just using his quote. Because this comment we had about wibbly wobbly.
Your passive aggressiveness really came through in this poll, by the way. Yeah. Like you chose the most jacked up way to spell Narnia.
I did.
I was like, can you tell like Brian's anger like coming? Listen, we need to get your rant out of the way early today so we can get like level.
I don't have a rant. I have no rants.
What?
Okay? No, this is my baseline, motherfucker.
This is my baseline. All right, well, that's not good.
No, so the thing is though, I'd rather like the idea of time being like a river that is moving in one direction. And I like this a lot. And when you throw like a stone in the river, you use time travel to modify something, it creates ripples that eventually even out because time is constantly moving in one direction, right? And you would have to like bomb the river in order to actually create a branch. It would have to be such a major event.
Okay.
Versus every little change you makes another universe. I never liked that. I never liked the idea that if I went back in time and told myself to drink a Sprite instead of a Coke, that I created another universe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what quantum theory, I guess, suggests is actually what's happening. I mean, they don't know. It's a theory. String theory
suggests that anything that can happen has happened, and there's a
right
different universe. Yeah,
but I prefer the Back to the Future time travel rules.
I prefer the sacred timeline, but let's say it's a river, and you make ripples instead of you make ripples, and those ripples are eventually evened out by the flow of time. I like that idea.
But the ripples have to do something, right?
I mean, yeah. So it does affect things. Let's say I go back in time to the 50s. No, I go back in time.
You meet your mom?
2014, and I kill Brian Fuller. Let's say I go back. Sorry, someone is
I'm not sure you should say that. I got to tell you. I mean, some people might do that.
Oh.
People might even try to go back in time. I mean, if it was time travel was possible, there are Star Trek fans who would definitely go back and have a conversation with him before.
No. They would, yeah, but most Star Trek fans don't know the real problem, so they're going to go back and try to
told them
take out Alex Kurtzman when he's a baby or something. You're like, listen, that pointless suit
that might fix some things too.
Toes the company line is not really the problem here. So let's say I go back in time to 2014. And I just beat the ever-living crap out of Brian Fuller, and I put the fear of God in him and say, "Don't touch Star Trek, motherfucker."
That's your solution.
I will end you.
Solution to intimidate him into not doing it.
Put the pen down. Go back to the drag bar, and hook up with a questionably aged twink. But stop talking about Star Trek. Now, if I did that, then what would happen was, he wouldn't write. I'm assuming he would fear me. He wouldn't write Star Trek. And the studio though would continue without Brian Fuller. So what we would get perhaps regular.
No,
Klingons.
we'd get J.J. Abrams. So we would get.
We get J.J. Abrams, but the Klingons probably wouldn't look weird.
Well, who cares? They got changed back. The world we live in would still exist.
And there wouldn't be a Michael Burnham because that was a Brian Fuller thing.
That's true. I actually agree with Archmage. I would go back and take out Les Moonves because he's the one who ended Star Trek, the original. He's the one who. And I'm trying to make a point.
Interrupt me. What I'm saying is there would still be a Star Trek Discovery, but it would look different. And
it'd be named something different too.
Perhaps.
Yeah, that was Brian Fuller's name.
But there would be a Star Trek show that did launch in 2016, but it would be different. And then there might be a spin-off of that, perhaps, if it was moderately successful. I mean, considering that it was successful because it was already paid for 3 seasons. So you get another spin-off. It might not be Strange New Worlds. Now, eventually, though, both those things are going to flame out, and they're going to go, and Picard will be made. And it won't be made, and it'll probably have nothing to do with those two things.
But you killed Alex Kurtzman as a kid, so that's
I didn't.
Awesome.
I only beat the crap out of Brian
you
Fuller.
Didn't go back.
Pay attention.
Got it.
So,
I mean, you said the other one too.
No, I said other fans would do that. I know that is a paper tiger. No point.
Got it.
So let's say I did that.
He is in charge right now.
Now, time would be changed for the next 10, 15 years or so, but eventually it would even back out, and my change would only be a moderate ripple.
Oh, so we'd end up with Discovery 15 years from now. Brian Fuller would get over the fact that you beat the crowd about him and say, "I think I'm safe. I think the guy's dead," and then he'd do it.
Oh God.
I mean, I'm going on with your example because time straightens itself out.
Let me fix this. I'm just gonna go murder Brian Fuller. I'll knock that out.
Well, that's dropping a bomb on the timeline.
No, but it's not though.
You murdered him.
Okay, what has he contributed to the timeline for
American Gods.
200 years?
American Gods. Pretty good.
Okay,
show.
so there's no American Gods. What matters now?
I don't know. Maybe
what I'm saying is
family or something.
Taking out Brian Fuller, who is a popular, well-known person, would only affect the timeline for, let's say, 25 years.
Okay, so give me a bomb event that would change the timeline.
Okay, a bomb event
related to this.
Related. A bomb event will be going back in time and saving Abraham Lincoln from getting shot in the head.
No, with this Star Trek. With this situation, give me a bomb event.
A bomb event would be going back and killing Khan as a child.
Okay, I thought we were talking about like Discovery and Brian Fuller and all
Okay,
this stuff.
which one do you want? You want to talk about real? Oh, okay. You want to talk about the real world? Okay. So Obama event will be going back and killing Gene Roddenberry.
You just shut your mouth.
But that would be it. Like, so you would lose 70 years.
Well, you wouldn't get any Star Trek at all.
Oh, so think about this. You would lose 70 years of, but not just that.
You can't do that.
There are scientists, there are actors,
right,
writers, creators that have.
Yeah, if there's no Star Trek, it changes society.
Yes, they base their entire careers, their lives, their inventions, their entire way of thinking on a TV show.
Right.
I don't want to. I'm not gonna down. I'm not downplaying this. This is not hyperbole. Let me explain something. Star Trek is one of the most important pieces of art we've ever gotten. It has shaped the modern world from cell phones to nanotechnology, carbon. There are inventions and things that you use today that you probably wouldn't consider living without, that wouldn't exist in its current form, at least, without Gene Roddenberry's Wagon to the Stars.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. It's probably the most influential piece of art.
Yes,
I would say. I can't think of a painting or a single incident or something else, or actually music. So maybe not for the whole world, but I think a good one like that Proud to Be American song that came out after 9/11. Do you know how many people joined the military because of that song?
Yeah, so I'm one of
like something like that.
Damn you knew that already. That's why you brought.
Actually, I didn't think about you. Is that why you joined the song?
I joined the military because I was working at a copy club as the night manager when the towers went down. I was listening to Howard Stern. I remember specifically he was in the building like very close to the 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
and he thought he thought the Whack Pack was like making a sick joke, and then he started crying on air, and it was like this event. I realized he wasn't joking, turned it on. It was this whole thing, and I felt extraordinarily patriotic. And then
a lot of people did,
and that song came out, and I was like, you know what, I'm so broke, I'm working 3 jobs to try to pay for college. I was literally working I wasn't even sleeping. I was sleeping in my car like between classes. I had 0 money, so I was like working at Copy Club. I was basically a bunch of copy centers, Copy Club, Kinko's, and a print shop named Partner Print. I was working my butt off, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna join the military. I'm gonna get patriotic and get some money for college all at the same time. Yeah, but that song was a pretty influential thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people joined because of that song. But also think about "Fortunate Son" by Creedence Clearwater. How many people?
I mean, it's a good song, but I don't know what that impacted.
So like that song, though, an entire generation of people were inspired to, to go anti-war, peace, love.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of music at the time that did that, though. I wouldn't give that credit to one song. Now, if you want to give credit, I would say maybe the Beatles like overall had probably impact, or maybe Elvis Presley, had a lot of impact over a large quantity of people. But Star Trek really did inspire like a technology thing. It inspired people who, intelligent thinkers. And so when you think about it, like Star Wars inspired like the movie industry.
Right.
So Star Wars is like, wow, you can do this with a freaking movie. Like that inspired, and the movies became, bigger and better going forward. So that's a big deal. But I think if you talk about just humanity across the board, there is no piece of artwork that I can think of other than Star Trek that probably led us to where we are today, technology wise.
Yeah, 100%. Quick thing. Darth Maul, Brian Fuller did work on Star Trek Voyager, which is why I would not go back and kill him before 2014. I want him to finish his work on Voyager, but then I want him to stop working after that. So the thing is this. It is one of the most, probably the most influential piece of art. So if you kill Gene Roddenberry, you would modify, like, it wouldn't be a ripple. You would damage the bedrock of the river.
So there's your bomb. Yeah.
It would be such a divergence that there would probably be a split in the river, and you would have 2 different flows of water now. 100%. Or you would damage to the point where it wouldn't even be operating. So what they're saying, I believe that what she was trying to say is when they said that time is fighting back, because I think that the flow of time, because it's such a big event, is attempting to correct it, not in like a sentient way, but in
Oh, I'm sorry. You're applying reason to her, or to the writing they gave her. Oh,
yes.
That's very cute.
I'm
Very sweet
sorry.
of you.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Applying
so
reason
sorry.
to their words. She, in basically 3 words, she completely changed the Star Trek timeline.
So, anyways, that's the point of it, right? So they've been trying to kill Khan, but it doesn't. It's not working. I don't understand fully how he is now 14 when he should have been born in 1955.
He was 8. Yeah.
Or 8 when he should have been born in like 1959. Like, there's such an insane amount of time. Like, just because you're trying to kill someone doesn't not make them younger. There's like a lot of weird issues here, and
they changed time. So they literally changed the fabric of the events of time so many times, so drastically, that Khan is born, in 2014, which would have been 55 years later.
Wait. So that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Well, and that's part of the problem with New Trek. Like, sometimes they write it on paper and say, it's done. We got it on paper.
It's like,
they don't tie the logic into it. Like, explain to us how the hell you move time 55 years. Like,
I'm
we should
assuming
know
he doesn't have parents. He must be a clone or something.
We don't know.
Maybe that's how.
But it was never explained. I guess it could be that way. But
if he was a clone, then I guess they could have, they could have just cloned him later down the road, and that would have explained his. Anyways,
I mean, maybe season 3 there'll be something, because you have that whole Khan Institute in Toronto, which we have no backstory for.
So
it's hard to tell.
When Doctor Who said, people assume that time is a strict progression of cause and effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. When he said that, that was the most non-scientific thing you could have said.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
That's basically Doctor Who is saying, don't think too much about this.
Of course.
Let us do our thing. And that's fine. When I watch Doctor Who, I'm not watching Doctor Who and thinking science. I'm thinking...
Well, we also don't connect the doctors.
We don't. Yeah, not
the
really.
Doctors have their own... somebody argued in one of the comments in our video that we're talking about, is somebody said, well, they don't have this problem in James Bond. What if, every James Bond was a different universe? The problem is that we accept the fact that every new version of James Bond is a new Bond in a current timeline.
Yeah, just
you're not running around. You're not changing things.
Yeah, basically every
not
time
even a reboot.
Bond, but it's like they're rebooting the entire character when they
it's not a reboot. It's just the next Bond in the new time. So that you have you have Sean Connery, you got Roger Moore, you've got.
But does Sean Connery's Bond, does the thing that he does also, affect what Pierce Brosnan's Bond did?
No, because it's the Bond of the 80s or the Bond of the 90s or the Bond of the 2000s.
So they're basically
reboot means they're starting over. So we don't get the origin story of Bond. We don't get all that stuff. It's just Bond doing Bond shit in the 80s. Bond doing Bond shit in the 90s.
Isn't
See what I'm saying?
It's a continuation, though. It's not really a continuation because their stories don't affect each other.
Reboot literally means starting over.
I mean, so it's starting over sans the origin story.
No, rebooting means starting over. So if you start over, right? And I'm not saying have a new character, because that's the only difference is it's a different actor. That's not a reboot.
Right, but it's a different actor, but they're also not relying on the stories that came before them either.
I would argue that you can't reboot something if you don't, say it's a reboot. If it doesn't show that it's a reboot. If you don't cover the same material that somebody else covered previously in your IP, it's not a reboot.
Right. So, I mean, all I know is that every time there's a new James Bond, that James Bond is in his own continuity. It's
just the next James Bond in that decade.
But
right.
I'm trying to apply a real word to it. So it's in his own continuity. He's not a part of the other James Bond continuities.
He might be. It could be part of that person's history, but it's a different Bond. He's in his own. He's living his own life. Is that what you want to say?
There's never been any indication that Pierce Brosnan's Bond and Sean Connery's Bond have any connection to each other.
Is the exact same person. That's what you're trying to say.
I mean, they're playing. It's the same person,
character, right?
But they're different continuities depending on what actor's playing them. Yeah. So that's fine. James Bond is not the pinnacle of science fiction. This is like Star Trek is, we just said it. The most important piece of art to ever be shown, to ever be created, to be fostered. And maybe it was an accident at first. Maybe it was a crazy idea. It doesn't matter how it happened. Regardless, is this 75 years of stories have affected the world in a way that is... No, sorry, 71 years?
No, 56.
I thought it was 70 years.
No,
okay.
66 to...
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's tough. We're talking about a lot of time frames, cons,
whatever. So a lot of time has gone by, and there's been some stinkers, and there's been good. And regardless,
57.
Regardless, that art has affected the world in a way that without it, it would be a completely different place. Which means that when you are given that art in which to create new stories, you have to consider the history.
Right. That's why it's frustrating when people say, hey, relax, it's just a TV show, or hey, relax, what's the big deal? It's just entertainment. Star Trek is not entertainment. Star Trek is literally this living, breathing piece of art that's lasted for 57 years now. And there's needs to be a careful consideration of how it goes forward. Or, you know, you just take a big poop on it. I mean, like, take a big poop on the Mona Lisa. Who gives a shit, right? No, that's how important Star Trek is to culture. And we should continue, you know, having it be that elevated piece of art going forward. In my opinion, you know, it should be entertaining, but it also should.
I don't think it's just your opinion. Just because you like it doesn't mean it's your opinion. Let's say you hate.
I mean, it is my opinion, but yeah.
No, but I don't think it's a subjective thing. Consider this for a minute. Let's say you hated Star Trek. You can't deny the amount of influence it's had on culture and science.
True, but its responsibility to continue perpetuating that idea is not necessarily necessary. So, like, the argument that people have is like, yeah, great, Star Trek had its time, but who gives a fuck? Let's go and do Star Trek for a while.
Star Trek, yeah. No, yeah. But so to your first point though, you might as well just shit on the Mona Lisa then.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the point? Like,
so is it subjective though? Because like, is it right to just shit on the statue of David or some?
It's probably not. I mean, it's probably wrong in every case.
I mean, what about
for any piece of art?
People complain when there's non-Egyptians in a movie about ancient Egypt because it damages their culture. I would argue that Star Trek is a massive part of a lot of people's culture.
Yeah, I mean, or at least the generation that we came from, or that most of us came from. Now, this generation, maybe they don't care.
If you're using a cell phone, it's because it's because Star Trek.
Well, it's not because of Star Trek. Now,
but the design of the cell phone that we use today is highly influenced by Star Trek, and that comes from the guy who invented the first phone.
Well, the people who continued working on it, making it better, were also inspired. You got to give Star Trek like a side credit. Like the telephone was going to happen. The cell phone was going to happen with or without Star Trek. But the inspiration of, the communicator, and remember what that looked like in the flip phone. I mean, what do we get? We got a cell phone that was a flip phone.
Dude, the guy that invented the first touchscreen literally said he wanted a tricorder like in Star Trek.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're inspired by it, but the touchscreen was going to be invented anyways. I'm not saying Star Trek invented the touchscreen. I mean, we were going to get there. But you got to inspire people along the way. And that's what Star Trek has done. So it gets a side credit at the very least. Look at these people who are throwing soup and oil on paintings and like doing sit-ins because they're unhappy with the environment and shit like that. I mean, that's the culture that we live in right now. Let's destroy art for what we believe in. And the same thing's happening now. Well, the same thing's happening now. So in all of our Star Trek and all of our shows, they have an agenda. Which destroys the art that was originally created. So, I mean, you look at reason why we love Picard season 3 so much, and Terry Matalas is talking to him. We know that he understands what Star Trek should be and how important it is to the culture, and how moving that forward and paying homage and honor to that is critically important. That's why we love Terry. That's why I'm wearing this Terry Trek shirt, or whatever. Right. So because, he has the same vision that we have, and he's the one who should be making Star Trek moving forward, period.
Yeah. What's crazy is Terry Matalas. I remember the first time I talked to Terry Matalas, I almost blew something. But the first time we got to talk to Terry Matalas in person, we've talked to a lot of like Hollywood people who are pretty narcissistic a lot of the times, and they sort of like talk about themselves a lot, and they don't really keep eye contact with you, and they're always like ready to leave, or they got something else going on. They're always in a hurry. I remember the first time I talked to Terry Metalis, it was like talking to my buddy from high school.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he looked you dead in the eye. He was like, he is such a fan of Star Trek. He legitimately loves all of Star Trek. Yeah. And that's why we simped so hard for him before Picard season 3 came out. I'm like, you guys don't understand. This shit is golden, and this guy is one of us, you know?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think, you know, he spoke to us, and we trust him, you know, with it. So, you know, that's, you know, look, if we have a candidate to throw the hat in the ring, that's who we're picking. But, you know, having these 3 timelines, now back to what this whole thing's about, you know, having the 3 timelines, I would argue is probably a good thing. Now that we've gone this far with Discovery of Strange New Worlds, and things are so different, you know, and things are so different in this new Trek, you know, it allows us legacy Star Trek fans to go, okay, you know, I can suspend my frustration over Spock and the way he acts by knowing, well, it's a different timeline, you know, and now you know, whatever happened doesn't have to connect to TOS, you know, the way that I want it to. So it does make it easier to digest what's coming now. And what's cool is you can still go in the original timeline. If they do Star Trek Legacy, that would be the original timeline. Right. You know, so, you know, that Picard is part of the original timeline, even though seasons 1 and 2 sucked.
Even though the events of the Kelvin universe affected both the new universe, the Kelvin timeline, and the Prime timeline.
Right. So that's something else we talk about in the video, and you should definitely give that a look if you haven't seen it yet, which is the whole point of this conversation. Is that when Robert Orci was given the power to create this movie, they had to effectively create something in the Prime or the original timeline to offshoot the Kelvin timeline. And so what they did is they essentially destroyed a star, which there's still argument over which star that is. When it was originally written, it was just a star that was going to impact the Romulan Empire. But in Picard, they gave it the Hobus Sun, which is inside of that solar system. It's very, very complicated. You know, it was not intentional. So they actually, this bomb, this is a bomb, by the way. We're talking about changing time.
Yeah, it's such a bomb. It affected 2 different rivers of time.
JJ and those guys and Robert and Kurtzman could have created a show where it was an innocuous time travel thing. It really could have been somewhat innocuous. It didn't have to be the destruction of you know, Romulus. It could have been something that just happened, like they were trying to get Spock and this Nero guy who wasn't a minor. Really, the fact that whole character is so, you know, kind of lame. You know, his job was like a minor, you know, and he's a badass somehow. You know, it's just kind of weird, you know. And
that was a bad idea. I mean, but I think it's clever. I'm gonna say it. I've said it before. I think it's really clever that they wanted their cake and they wanted to eat it too. They wanted to reboot Star Trek and they wanted to drag along the old audience. And
I thought it was smart. Yeah, it was smart to do that.
It's just of doing that.
But they used they basically exploded a bomb to do it. Right. So instead of having like an event where Spock ends up going through a black hole and Nero gets pulled in after him, you know, they did more. So what they did is their story affected the future timeline of the original timeline. And now Picard ends up this dystopian, you know, strange future where the Federation is like eating itself and they're evil, you know, and his whole life is in ruins because of the result of this supernova and him being unable to rescue the Romulans and the Federation being blamed. So they really did, you know, it's like skipping a rock, you know, that first skip, you know, causes waves but it skipped 6 times and just broke something on the other side of the lake, you know. So that's kind of what happened there. But that timeline does continue on. And so going through the events of Picard season 3, you know, guess what is part of canon in the original timeline? There are 2 types of Borg. That's canon. But, you know, 7 of 9 is the captain of her own ship. That's original timeline canon stuff. So we still can get stories in that timeline, which theoretically would make both fans bases happy.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It would. Well, regardless, the arguments that we're getting now, in some of these comments are really special. And
is that special good or special bad?
It's just special, Shane.
All right.
I'm gonna read one of the comments. Seriously, stop with that stuff.
I guess it's not a good comment. Okay, got it.
There is one main timeline or universe which has seen tons of timey-wimey, time travel in tons of episodes, as well as a few minor inconsistencies. The only alternate universe is the Kelvin movies and the Mirror universe. This is easily confirmed by simply watching the shows. So
I don't know what they're talking about. I mean,
you just contradicted yourself in the same sentence. You said there is only one main timeline, and then you said the only alternate universe is Kelvin. Well, if you watch Discovery, on screen, they reference the Kelvin timeline, and they use the word Kelvin, by the way, because that's
that was weird.
Yeah.
How do they know the Kelvin was destroyed?
Yeah, they're like
in the alternate timeline.
I don't know, but so they actually referenced the Kelvin, and there was a character, I guess an alien that came from the Kelvin universe, and it was whatever. So there's two places. The Prime timeline kicked off the Kelvin, so it's not a variant. It's not an Elseworld. When you make an Elseworld like Elseworld Batman, like Batman,
it's not. It's a branch.
It's an actual branch.
An event caused a branch.
When you make an Elseworld movie, we expect it to be different. Doesn't matter. But this is connected, and it literally was created from the dying sun of the Prime timeline, and then referenced in Discovery. So now two separate timelines have now referenced the Kelvin timeline, which firmly establishes the Kelvin timeline as a 3. And
that wasn't their argument, though.
No, well, the argument is there's only one main timeline, and timey-wimey stuff is happening all the time.
That's not true.
But that's not true at all. Because it is shown in the series that they exist alongside each other.
Yeah, I mean, if timey-wimey stuff's happening all the time, we're just not seeing those branch universes. What we're saying is they went into Strange New Worlds season 2, episode 3, and they broke it and then showed us a branch timeline of the future.
Right.
I mean, that's just it. Just like the Kelvin universe was created, and then we saw the Kelvin got destroyed, and we saw a different Kirk grow up who never commanded another ship. He went straight from the Academy to the Enterprise. I mean, time changed because of that event. I promise you that Strange New Worlds, time change. If you change time by 55 years and you move a major character's arc, major historical Earth events, you're telling me that time didn't change? Come on. I mean, you're just wanting to, suck up to Goldsman and what he's saying, I guess. I don't know.
So I got another problem. They said that the Kelvin was destroyed and Kirk was born in the midst of that destruction, right? And that's what changed his life so much. And Kirk's not having a father figure and all that is what drastically changed the timeline, which I guess makes sense because Captain Kirk is so important in the timeline. Except for we're actually missing something. Because James Kirk proper was not born on a starship.
I don't know.
He was born in Iowa. In fact, there was a distinction between
he was, you're right.
Paul Wesley's Kirk and the Kirk proper, Paul Wesley being born on a ship and not being born on Earth. Right?
Well, that's this timeline, right?
Right. So my thing is they say the Kelvin destruction is what kicked off the Kelvin universe. Mm-hmm. Except for why was Kirk being born in space at all?
Well, they made a mistake. That's simply it. They just made a mistake. Yeah, because the problem is, and unfortunately, you're right. That does not line up with the original timeline, and the destruction of the Kelvin is the only event that changed time. So they just made a mistake. Whoever was writing it didn't think of the fact that Kirk was born in Iowa, or maybe I don't know. Maybe they get transported down before and they can't because they're
too far away for that.
I don't know. I can't remember where they were. So
So that means that maybe some pesky Romulans were already trying to modify history.
Well, it really frustrates me that because this event that takes place where they breaking off this timeline, that affects the original timeline in some ways,
right?
Because if you're talking 21st century Romulans are messing with humanity, like that's introducing something way into the past. I really wish Star Trek would stop doing this because it does affect things. So we don't know all those effects. She gave us so much information in that small time frame about all the changes that occurred while she was there that it's very disturbing. We don't know exactly what changed. So all we can really hold on to is these 3 different universes. And that's kind of what we have. We got a 4th, if you count, possibly 4th, if you count the Borg during First Contact, went back in history, time in history. And we have a whole video on that. You guys have probably seen it, or if you want to see it.
Yeah.
There's a couple super chats in the member section too. Heads up.
Okay. One more comment. We'll get to that. I think you actually addressed this about the James Bond, but this is what the person said. Different timelines is what they're calling a plot device writers use to placate fanboys about reboots and script changes. Blah, 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 blonde, bond, blonde, blah, blah. Star Trek superfans have to have new Trek agree with old Trek or else. People, it's make-believe. Writers want to tell their version, not film someone else's version. It didn't really happen. The closest way we really got to Khan was Hitler. So, I'm just going to stop.
No, Khan wasn't anything like Hitler.
Nothing like Hitler, yeah. First off, like you're just wrong on so many levels. There is a degree, and you look, we can disagree, but bottom line is, if you are given, this is like saying, hey, work in this franchise, but ignore all the characters and history of the franchise. It doesn't make any sense. You can tell your own story within the guardrails of Star Trek.
That's it.
Are you such a hack that you can't tell a story within the guardrails of a franchise that spans a universe? Like what a silly notion. I want to tell my own story. Are you so untalented that you cannot tell a story with unlimited characters and a universe full of planets and aliens and all the things that come with Star Trek? If you can't tell an original story within those guardrails, then you shouldn't be writing.
Well, and I think that their argument is that they're being handcuffed creatively by having to worry about all that stuff. And what do you expect me to go back and read all that stuff? The problem is that Star Trek is like, Star Trek's kind of like the Bible in a way. Like you have a responsibility to what's come before. And not every franchise is necessarily that way, but this one really is. And the reason why is because Gene Roddenberry created it. And then Gene Roddenberry brought TNG and then hired a guy, Rick Berman, who then followed Gene Roddenberry's Bible, Star Trek Bible. And he followed it for several TV shows. And he forced all those writers to exactly follow the guardrails. These are the reasons. This is what Gene wanted. This was his vision, right? And Ira Bear was the one who tried to push it. And everybody loves DS9 for some of the reasons that he did push it. But when we got to the new Star Trek, there was nobody saying, "Here's the guardrails that we have to follow. This is what we have to do." So there was no one to hold the line. That was Alex Kurtzman's job. His job was to continue what Berman had done to maintain the intactness of Star Trek so that everything made sense. Now, granted, it's harder the more shows you got out there to keep everything together. And there's times when canon gets messed with all the time. I'm not saying it's perfect or anything like that. But for the most part, you're respecting it. And that's where it changed. And this, whether or not, Kurtzman and Goldsman are going to say, "Oh no, we're still in the same timeline." They're going to say that, right? But the reality is what they've shown us is that it's not that. So you can't just simply say that it's changed and boom, it all changes. It's not magic. Okay. It is what you've shown us is what it is. And you just change time. That's it. So.
Yeah. What drives me nuts though, is what you just said, I think is wrong. When you said, I understand it's hard that you have to go back, and mistakes we made. I don't think it is hard. Like every
Well,
single
no, in their
episode-
mind it's hard. No, in their mind it's hard.
Okay, because every
They
single
believe it's
episode
too hard.
of your universe is sitting on a streaming service waiting for you to click
Right.
play. Like it's not
Nobody
that
wants to
hard.
go back and watch it. They don't want to watch it all. You know, they just don't. And they should respect it and love it enough to go watch it all. But you know, most of them don't. And I hate to say this, most of the actors don't either.
Right. That's
So,
true.
you know, it's, you know, I was doing into this research for Voyager, come to find out, you know, the only one of the characters, only one of the actors, the guy who plays Harry Kim is the only one who actually was a Star Trek fan.
Oh wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah,
That's really unfortunate. Damn.
it's true.
I wish you wouldn't have told me that.
Well, but actually, and there's an argument to be made that actually made them better at their job. So they came into it not trying to just pretend to be
I
somebody
guess
else.
the actors don't have to know all the history unless they're
The writers
playing
do, though.
But the writers do. Unless they're actually playing like an historical character, they don't. But the writers 1000% need to know and understand the universe. And you know what? If you're a good writer, then you can write within that universe. There are people that write fan fiction for free on internet forums that do a better job than a lot of the newest Trek we've gotten since 2016.
Well, that's the people who wrote Star Trek. It started out with authors and people that Gene Roddenberry brought in, but then it was fans who loved TOS,
Right.
who wanted to work on TNG, who submitted their stuff and ended up writers on TNG. We got a ton of them out there, you know, and Brian Fuller, one of them. So, you know, that is, you know, are fans writing it now? Are people going, yes, let me write Star Trek? No, they're people who were on, you know, Rescue 911 and MacGyver and all these other shows. Now they're suddenly writing Star Trek, you know, and it's just not the same thing.
One more comment here, and then we're gonna go to the super chats. I actually like this. This is from Rick Banks, and I don't know if you're watching, Rick, but I love this. By the way, I'm a fan of Lower Decks. I prefer to think of Lower Decks as being in the prime timeline based on all the references and continuous need for them. The Time Porter was also inter-universal as well, similar to the Guardian. This makes inter-universal crossovers possible. You know what? That's true. They did say that thing could possibly transverse universes. I think
I hate that though. I mean, that's the part I hate. I hate it when
I think they were referring to the mirror universe when they said that. But I mean, look, the Guardian existed in TOS and they did the same thing. So
I don't listen. People should not. I mean, listen, it's already complicated enough. Like, you should not be bouncing people around universes. You know, that's where people just go, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, it's too hard to maintain any continuity if you just keep like mushing everybody together. So
that's true. That's true. Okay. So bottom line with the triple timeline thing here is these are the three timelines that we can, without a shadow of a doubt, given what we've seen on screen,
yes,
say these three timelines exist in tandem in Star Trek right now.
100%.
But there could be others, and we've done other videos on that. So
there could be, yeah, just proof of three though.
Yes. So speaking of our members, so real quick, we didn't bring this up, but we're demonetized here on Unleashed. So we have two streams going on right now. We have the Unleashed show, which is most of you are watching on. And then we also have our members section where we have our wonderful members. And they're watching on that stream, which will continue when this one ends. Additionally, if you would like to support us, if you look at the top right of the screen, you'll see it says streamlabs.com/the Popcast live. I'm going to put that in chat too. And you can go there. It's an awesome little website. I'll show you what it looks like. And it shows our video that we're streaming right now. Plus there's the chat is on the right, so you can actually sit here, watch, chat, and even super chat, and we can bypass YouTube's current punishment. So that'd be a cool way to support us, and I will put that link in the chat as well.
We
So-
appreciate it so much too.
Yeah. So speaking of supporters, we have people in the member section that have been chatting. So let me go over there real quick. Oh, I pinned this. Okay. So we got a super chat from Goron Falth. I always say your name wrong, Goron.
No, you said it right. Falth.
I
That's
did?
good. Yeah.
Oh, look at me.
Goron Falth.
He sent a super sticker. It's just a thumbs up for 19 sec. I'm not sure what that is, but we appreciate it regardless, my friend.
I think it's Swedish.
Swedish
kroner.
Kroner. Thank you, Goron.
Yeah. Thanks, Goron. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for being a member too.
Also from Hiroshi the dog, or We Love Hiroshi. Star Trek for $10. Thank you, by the way, Hiroshi. 10 euros. The Star Trek timeline has always been off by 100 years. 2000 BC, I think he meant AD. Trek time equals 2100 BC or AD. Real world. They'll have to clear up that misunderstanding. Picard show events really happen around 2500 AD. And then he super chatted again to say, I meant AD, not BC. Thank you, Hiroshi.
And to kind of, they actually, because I didn't understand really what Hiroshi was saying, but Adam asked Hiroshi, how is that so? And Hiroshi says, we won't have the first warp flight in 40 years, like in First Contact. It has to be 140 years at least. So, he's talking about just kind of like the realistic time frame.
Well, I mean, yeah, that
if you're keeping Star Trek in our universe.
Yeah, if it needs to be in our universe, that actually makes sense. And it would completely bypass Akiva Goldsman's need to make excuses for bad writing by saying we're keeping it in our universe. And reality, you just didn't have the budget to create what you wanted to create. So you shot it in Canada where you were already shooting. Let's be real.
I just don't understand the mentality. Like, it all feels false to me. Like the reasoning behind doing this and everything, it just feels wrong. If they had just simply said, it was time to, put this new Star Trek in an alternate universe because, if you go inside the Enterprise, like it's literally the size of like a convention center. Like every room is the size is ginormous. Like it's obviously a different ship. So than the one we get in TOS.
In the member section, Adam asks, are the Streamlab donations switched off? No, they are not, sir. And you know what? I think you figured it out because you sent us $20 on Streamlabs.
Thank you, Adam.
No message, just $20. Thank you, Adam Leader. I appreciate that, my friend.
Appreciate the support, man. Adam had a really nice comment in Discord. You guys should definitely check out Discord.
Yes,
because we do a lot of talking there. Adam came back and thanked us for the Barbie video that we did, which we appreciated because only about 3,000 people have seen it since YouTube shut it down to some degree, or whatever.
100% shut it down. We have almost 120,000 subscribers, and it's serious. Literally sitting. The only video in our catalog right now is sitting at 0 views an hour.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah. So, anyways, it was. So we appreciate it, Adam.
The definition
Adam
of being throttled. I don't know. There's no other
it
way
is.
to...
I mean, it's totally. So thank you for that support. Adam knows. When you put 80 hours of work into a video, and you get 3,000 people to watch it, I'm pretty sure 3,000 people watching gets you about $5. Not even that. I think
it's less than that. It's like $3.
Like $3. Yeah. So it's not. We didn't get compensation for that video. So help like that, Adam, really really helps us. So thank you.
We even tried to make that video like ad free. We didn't put a sponsor
we did.
on it.
No sponsor. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We tried to make it as easily digestible as possible, and we just got wrecked, man.
Yeah. A couple more in member section. Hiroshi clarifies.
Oh, okay. Let me finish the Streamline ones. From JT Gunn for $2. Thank you, JT Gunn, my friend.
Thank you, JT.
That's our boy, Late Night with Cap. I am confused. So is Bond a collective like the Borg?
Yes.
That's funny. Also, another one from Goron Faith. Thank you, Goron Fall. Right. He just said for $5. Thank you, Goron. He says it is what it is.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
That's pretty.
And that's literal, by the way. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, some more here. No Money G for $10. You guys suck. What happened to this channel? Bah! JK, keep it up, guys.
Thank you, No Money G. We appreciate the support, man.
Dude, he's talking about all of those comments. And the Barbie video has a plethora of comments of people pretty much saying that. It's the weirdest thing that people are like, I'm gonna die on this Barbie hill. Like, they're offended that we had the nerve to criticize the messaging.
Yeah, well, they thought we were dying on the Barbie hill, which is the ironic thing about it. But just to answer, Archmage says, how is Barbie sitting at 0 when Adam viewed it today? It's not 0 views for the day. So views are actually gauged by hour. So when we look at the views, we can see how many views we've had in the last hour. And right now it currently sits at 0. So we might get one. There's links out there. Some of you guys have shared it. We're going to get some, but YouTube is definitely not sharing it with anybody anymore. So
yeah, we might get a few, we might even get like maybe a dozen views a day, but it's effectively dead.
And also want to recognize Adam Leader as the stream hero. I know we didn't talk about this today at the beginning. We're trying to figure out our whole like sending goodies out, but today's stream hero will win a grab bag, which is 3 completely random shirts. So whoever's sitting up there for the longest, most time donating will get that prize at the end. So so appreciate the support, and we will hook you guys up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the comment section of Barbie is so entertaining. I suggest, whether you've watched the video or not,
just go read it. Just
go to the Barbie video on our main channel and read the comment section. It is a wonderful disaster. Now, to be fair, there are really great comments in there. Like, there's even a comment from our buddy Odin. He's like, excellent video. There's good comments in there, but some of the comments are like so venomous that it's, and we lost members.
Can we get a positive comment from the video today?
Yes, absolutely. I guess, I skipped the positive comments. You know what?
I know it's funner to like look at the people telling you how shitty you are.
Like I said, this is my baseline, bro. What do you want me to do?
Okay? Bring your baseline up a little bit. Okay.
Well, I mean, I did a positive comment. Rick Banks, that was a positive comment, I think.
Okay, all right.
Here's another positive comments. You know what? I'm gonna find our boy Anthony, because he always is the first one to comment. Here we go.
We should can we show these comments or on the screen?
Or? Yeah, I can. I don't know why I wasn't doing that. Anthony Mark, thank you, Anthony. This guy he's such a great dude. Excellent video. Due to the fact that Paramount Plus Star Trek 2016 is now an alternate universe, it is so sad that Strange New World is not a better series. The Brian Doctrine is move the story forward. The gang at Secret Hideout are incompetent.
Yes, the Brian Doctrine. I know that's why you picked
just
that
my.
one.
It's not just my doctrine, but I think I've been very vocal, and I don't want any goddamn prequels. I'm over prequels.
Move it forward. That's why we want Star Trek Legacy.
Here's another one. 3 timelines is great. I agree with that. Why not? More timelines, the better.
So if you guys hadn't had a chance, go check out that video. We appreciate the support. One more from Goron Falth here in the member section if you haven't seen that.
Oh, Euron Felt. Oh, am I saying your name wrong? I am.
Oh, it's Euron. Yeah, you're right. Euron Felt.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna remember.
Well, it's because we don't speak, Norwegian. It's like it's kind of like if you're Spanish, you got you got a dialect.
Yeah.
So you're right. So that's Euron Felt.
We got to remember that because we've talked to him a lot on here. We always say the name wrong.
I know. It's like, hey, Goron, what's up? Typical like American guy just saying your name all wrong. Sorry
about
that.
What's up, Goron? Hey, what's up, Goron?
And you know what's sad is after
get a
this
cheeseburger and drink a beer.
Unless I put a note on the computer, it's probably still going to be Goron. So just
I might screw it up again.
Euron.
Thank you, Euron. We appreciate it, my friend.
All right, so we should move on to some news. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got news. Lower Decks. We got some Lower Decks news.
Got a little bit more news than that too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, talk to me, Deuce.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want, go ahead and talk about the Lower Deck news, and then I'll break into the other stuff.
Okay, so I know that Lower Decks is it was funny is when I was making the video a couple days ago, I had to actually type in Lower Decks orgy scene.
Oh, really?
Because I specifically wanted the scene where they were like all effing each other.
Oh,
because
okay,
it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I share like what my account is like connected to my family account, and my wife was like, "Why are you searching Lower Decks orgies?" My wife was asking me,
"Oh, really?"
For Lower Decks orgies. I'm like,
"Well, you should have told her."
I was like, "Babe, it's a Star Trek thing." She goes,
"You should have said, I'll tell you tonight." He's like, "What?"
No, it's funny though. I gotta remind myself to log in to the Popcast account because like when you search on Google, if you're using like a shared account, everyone can see the shared account. Yeah, I guess I could have just typed in Sean Ferrick OnlyFans and I would have gotten whatever I needed.
Then your wife wouldn't be asking questions. Why are you looking at
she'd be like, why are you looking at a naked man? Is there something you need to tell me, Brian? All right, so
you don't discriminate. That's what you're going to tell her.
No, but she was like, what's a Lower Deck orgy? She thought I was looking at orgy porn or something. All right, so the news we got for Lower Decks is and I actually thought it was news, like good news. I'm like, Shane, look at this. And he goes, it's not that special, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, so what is the news? I mean, you can tell them.
Basically, like they're gonna get some of the characters are gonna get promotions.
That's it. Yep, we're gonna have lieutenants.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I'll give you some better news. We are also gonna get season 4 not next week, but the week after next week. And effectively, before Discovery, the last Star Trek for a while, and we don't even know when the final season of Discovery is actually coming out. So,
well, we have an idea. That's part of the other news. Yeah.
Okay. You want to go into that one?
I wasn't planning to go into that one, but
okay. We have an idea of when it's going to come out,
and we'll tell you in just a second.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, for Lower Decks, it's pretty simple. They're getting promotions, and it comes out September 7th. Of course, that's a Thursday, which means it'll be more like Wednesday night. So we'll be able to watch it Wednesday night. We'll be able to talk about it a little bit. We're not gonna like review it like it's a regular show, but we'll certainly talk about it. I like Lower Decks a lot. I think it's hilarious. I don't look at it under the same microscope that I judge regular Star Trek on. So it can get away with a lot more with me because I don't care about the canonical effects of an animated TV show. I recognize that some people don't feel that way, and whatever happens in this show is canonical as well. But I can turn my brain off and just sort of enjoy the story. And some of the stories are actually pretty damn good. So,
yeah, nothing wrong. Lower Decks is its own little tone of Star Trek. And if you like that kind of stuff, then that's great. I'm just not much into the cartoons myself. Although I did like the original series animated cartoons. And if you watch that video we were talking about earlier, I don't mention TOS as part of the animated series as part of the original timeline, because I think of the animated series as a continuation of the TOS series more than its own like show. Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like here, the information we have on Star Trek Discovery, if you're interested in that, because we are getting Lower Decks season 4 first, right?
Right.
Did that say when it's coming out?
Lower Decks?
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Okay, so that's coming out in 2 weeks. And then it looks like Discovery will come out in early 2024. So Kurtzman and Paradise said to expect that in early 2024. So that's going to be the next thing. So you got, 5 months or so, 4 or 5 months before Discovery comes out. And then after that, there's going to be a huge delay in the next series that comes out. But if you are interested in more Star Trek stuff, They are having a Star Trek Day 2023 celebration. This news just came out. It's going to be hosted by Jerry O'Connell, who is on Lower Decks. And what's interesting is Strange New Worlds' first 2 episodes are going to air on CBS, which I'm not sure why that's important. I guess if you don't do streaming, I don't understand why you would air the first 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds on CBS. Like, what is that? Is that like dessert?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Like what? It's like, it doesn't cost you nothing. They'll stick it on CBS. Maybe they're trying, you know what it is? They're trying to get people who aren't on streaming that watch CBS to go and subscribe to watch Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, they did the same thing with like Discovery when it came out. Like the first couple episodes were on CBS and like for free on YouTube or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Like Paramount make weird decisions. I don't really fully understand it. And I never understood why you can't just air the series alongside the streaming service. Like, I don't see a reason why you can't do that.
Well, they're trying to push people to the paid service. That's why.
You know what I would do?
What?
I would air the show on network television 1 week after it came out on streaming.
Sure. Yeah. Well, no, because you still want people to go and subscribe over there and do it.
Well, then consider this. If you like what you're watching, you can watch it a week early and all the back episodes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if there's a lot of bang for the buck on that though.
I mean, there's advertising dollars and stuff. There's another revenue stream. You could put it on even 2 weeks afterwards. Like you subscribe to the service to get it faster and all the back episodes.
You would have a lot less people going to the streaming. So they're going to make a lot more money by not making it available for free at all. So, I mean, I think. But anyways, if you're looking for Star Trek Day, it's September 8th. It's marking the 57th anniversary, which we were talking about earlier. The day is going to include special Star Trek Lower Deck screenings across the U.S., the U.K., and Canada ahead of that upcoming 4th season. It's also going to air those Strange New Worlds Star Trek Strange New Worlds on CBS for 2 episodes. O'Connell's salute to the franchise will include segments that look back at memorable moments over the past 57 years. I guarantee you there will be no Captain Kirk in it, but we'll see what happens. Commemorate 50 years of Star Trek animation. Pay tribute to Star Trek Discovery ahead of its final season, along with an exclusive sneak peek clip from the upcoming 4th season of Star Trek Lower Decks. You'll be able to watch for free globally on StarTrek.com/day. Last year, we tried to stream it, I think, and then got in trouble.
Yeah, that was our first copyright strike.
Yep, so we won't be doing that this year. Woohoo!
I mean, we can do it because we're demonetized.
Right, but strikes still count against you.
No, they don't count the same way. Neither do
Really?
claims. Yeah. So we always get a claim, initial claim on our live streams on both channels. And it's very interesting. Now that we're demonetized, the claim notice comes in, but it says no effect. No.
It's like a cry emoji.
It says
we can't get money from you.
So it's green and it says don't worry about this. But on our main channel, it says fix this now.
Okay, well, maybe we'll do it. Who knows? But you'll be able to watch it on StarTrekDay.com, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook in the U.S. The special will be available to stream on Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, and Mixable. I never even heard of that one. And will air on select local CBS affiliates, Comedy Central, Paramount. Holy crap, you're going to be able to watch this on all kinds of stuff. Paramount Network, Pop TV, Fave TV, and Smithsonian.com. CBS will.
Smithsonian? What?
It's because it's owned by Paramount Plus. So
CBS will air one website. Why don't you just have one website? And why don't you just say StarTrek.com? That's it.
I mean, it's going to be there, but it's going to be a bunch of other places too.
It's like why do you promote all these other? This is like they're so short-sighted. They're like, let me just give you all of our links and you can figure it out. You're confusing everyone. Just focus on one thing. See,
Well, they're not making any money off this. So the purpose of this, I understand what you're saying. It's promotion. So they want you to, as long as you watch it, they don't give a shit where you watch it from. Because they want you to watch it, and then they want you to get excited about what's coming. Then they want you to go and subscribe to the streaming service.
Right. So you know what? If you gave them one website, maybe it was on Paramount Plus. Actually, like here's Paramount Plus / Star Trek, whatever.
But if you have
a website, then you already know where to go. Now, if you're watching on the Smithsonian, you're like, I want to watch this Lower Decks. Where do I have to go to find it?
Well, here's the thing: is it just told you? So Smithsonian.com will have. I mean, if you hang out at Smithsonian, then that's an opportunity for you to go watch their advertisement. That's why they're giving it across so many different channels. It's not about trying to funnel people to a certain place. They just want you to watch it so that you'll go, oh, I like this. Where do I go get that? Oh, Paramount Plus. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point. It's the whole point for it being on CBS. It's to get more people to subscribe. Let's see. CBS will air the first 2 episodes of the Paramount Plus original series, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I'm guessing the first 2 episodes of the first season because they don't specifically mention that here. With back-to-back special airings beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Pacific. It's episode 101 and 102, which weren't horrible episodes, actually. Those are probably 2 of the better episodes of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
So,
the first season wasn't bad.
I mean, it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad.
I mean, I liked the first season except for like 2 episodes. I liked the majority of what it offered.
Yeah, I just felt like this season, I felt like there was too much genre work being done. I didn't like the episode with the fairy tale. I didn't like some of the.
Yeah.
I didn't like, so there were some good episodes.
I
but
didn't like the Cybok episode with that horrible villain that was only hired because of their sexuality and not because of their talent.
Right. But these 2 episodes are good.
When I say they, I'm referring to this person's pronouns, so it's not multiple people. This person's sexuality is very fluid, and their pronouns are they, there. They were hired to be the villain in Star Trek, not because of their ability, but because they're social influence, and it's stupid.
Yeah. Additionally, Star Trek The Animated Series Celebration will feature an evening of cartoon comedy, including 4 specially selected episodes of the hit animated series, Star Trek Lower Decks. The free screenings will be held in Columbus, Dallas, Denver, Philadelphia, Phoenix, San Diego, St. Louis, Washington, D.C., Vancouver, Calgary, and London. Fans can register at Star Trek Animated Celebration screenings beginning today at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah, that's it.
Well, okay then.
For Star Trek Day. And now last Star Trek Day was tragically terrible.
Yeah.
Remember we were like, what the hell's going on here? Or was it Star Wars Day? Which one was it?
No, it was Star Trek Day. Like we didn't know what, I guess. So like they didn't even do First Contact Day. They did they referenced it. And like 2 days before the actual event, they laid a bunch of news out. You're like, why are you telling us this right now? Why is this not on First Contact Day? And when we get to First Contact Day that they advertised, only to find out that even though they advertised it, they didn't actually do anything. And you're like, can someone over there get their crap together, please? Like, it's not that. This is not hard. It's not hard.
I agree with you. Anyways, that's all the news.
And the year before that, the Star Trek Day, yes, Archmage has a good point. They had a weird.
I do remember that.
One-person musician. He was like,
yeah. He was like a DJ or something, and it was terrible.
Oh my god, that whole thing was like. It was so.
They had like
stupid.
a fashion show. Remember, it was like a fashion show or something.
Yeah, it was. The whole thing was like.
And you could buy the merch
if you can
on a
snort
website.
Your own farts. If you can snort your own farts like they were drugs, that is what Star Trek Day was. It wasn't even about Star Trek. It was about like just these actors jerking each other off to their social justice values.
Beaching each other off.
Yeah, these actors were all beaching each other off to all their social justice work and how much they instill their quote unquote values into Star Trek. had nothing to do with Star Trek. There was no Star Trek news, just a weird one-man band, and the host was, I'm not even sure what gender the host was. I still to this day couldn't figure it out. It was like it was like a parody of what people say Star Trek is. You know, like, oh, Star Trek is just this, and this nowadays. And then you saw Star Trek Day, you're like, well, that's exactly what people say it is. Like, just a bunch of crazy people that don't actually care about Star Trek. And remember this, they had a partnership with the Pottery Barn for some reason.
Oh, that was what I was talking about, the merch. Yeah.
Yeah, they had this weird, like a big part of their news was that they partnered with Pottery Barn, and they had like Star Trek furniture.
That's right. It was like lamps, like Star Trek lamps and throw pillows.
It
wasn't furniture.
Thing. It was a weird partnership. They like throws and
Pottery Barn. That's right.
It was the Pottery Barn.
It was weird, dude.
It wasn't
weird.
Pottery Barn proper. It was like Pottery Barn Express. It was like the Pottery Barn kiosk at the mall.
That's right.
It was pathetic. Honestly, the only word I can say for last Star Trek Day was it was pathetic and embarrassing to watch. And we said as much, and coincidentally, we were manually struck by CBS ID.
You're right.
All right, well that's all the news. The Pottery Barn thing was really funny. I want to go back and find those clips, but they're like, "Oh, the Pottery Barn," and it was like watching a weird infomercial with actors that are clearly, they don't want to be there, and they have to act like they care about Pottery Barn and Star Trek, and that's like one too many things to ask them to act like they care about. Pretty rough. All right, so that's it for Star Trek, man. So 2 weeks from now, we got Lower Decks, big Star Trek day. We'll try to cover it best we can without getting our channel nuked. And maybe it's good this year. Maybe I'm reacting poorly to previous years, and I should give this year a chance. And we certainly will do that. But I'll tell you this right now: if it is just as tone deaf and embarrassing, and fart sniffing as it was the first last year, I'm going to say just as much. And I'm going to make sure you can't strike me because I'm not going to be showing the actual video. I'll have like audio or something. I'll figure out a way to do it where you cannot legally strike me.
All right. Sounds like yeah. I know. You can fight him though. Put on your armor, get out there with a sword, go crazy.
Yeah.
Go get him.
Okay. All right, so next up on the news, I want to do this box office report. Cool with that?
Box office biceps.
Box office biceps. All right. So we're gonna focus a little bit. We're gonna focus on a couple movies this week. Blue Beetle, a movie called Strays, and of course, what?
But why would you focus on those when they aren't the winners of the week?
Because they have the most interesting. What's the winner of the week?
Well, I tell you what, Barbie still on Tuesday.
Blue Beetle beat Barbie.
They did. It did for the last weekend. It did.
Right.
But on Tuesday, Barbie made $3,400,000. Blue Beetle only made $3,200,000.
And I said I was also going to talk about Barbie and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What's interestingly not really on this list right now is Meg 2: The Trench.
Nor should it be. I mean, are you looking at Box Office Mojo? So we're
I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking at Box Office Mojo, which is the most accurate.
Yeah, but it's also hard to read and it doesn't look good. That's like a weird, like it works for like you accountant type people, but like not my brain just like turns off.
Okay, well, in case you want to,
and if you look at this, it says the numbers are coming from Box Office Mojo. It's just
looks terrible. How do you like that?
It's given in a way that's easier to read.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I can open up Box Office Mojo.
I mean, I would just say like this box Office Mojo gives you the latest dailies. It gives you the latest weekend, and it gives you the changes. So I mean, it is in little boxes, but it does tell you. Here's you guys want breaking news? Barbie just surpassed, if the dailies are correct, today Barbie will surpass the Super Mario Brothers movie as the #1 domestic movie of 2023.
Yeah, good for it.
I mean, we're talking about box office news. We're not playing whatchamacallit. We're not playing favorites.
No,
we're just talking about the facts, right?
Yeah, it's good for it.
All right. Well, you said it like good for it.
No, I just
good for it.
Here, I'll just be honest. Ready? Blue Beetle deserves to make more money than what it's making. People aren't watching it for a variety of reasons. I'll tell you why. A, the marketing is garbage. I don't know how one company can market Barbie to the perfection levels it did, but another movie, these are both Warner Brothers movies, by the way, they can't figure out how to market Blue Beetle. Like, Warner Brothers successfully marketed Barbie into becoming the highest grossing film of the year. And, people like it, and that's good. But the marketing is what got people there, and word of mouth went from there, right? Their Blue Beetle trailers are garbage. Like, the trailer, it wouldn't have mattered. I had zero interest in the trailer. They had no character posters. They had no. It wouldn't have mattered. Why? What do you mean? Why wouldn't it matter? It didn't matter. It's on a superhero slump. The superhero movies are slumping. Period. Nobody wants to go see another superhero movie. They just don't. And the thing about Barbie, as divisive and wrong as it is, it's a completely different type of movie, and it's something that audiences have been craving. Something different, something completely outside the superhero box. Frankly speaking, I mean, I understand Barbie's a cultural element, but you cannot ignore the fact that they put out one trailer for Blue Beetle and then effectively stopped marketing. Really? I felt like I saw 2 or 3 trailers for it. Nope. They have the international trailer that's in other languages. There's a couple different scenes, but stacked it up against Barbie, 4 trailers. They had the Ken song. They had multiple clips, interviews. It was a massive rollout. They made sure that there was so much hype about this movie that you couldn't ignore it. Do you think that if there were 4 trailers for Blue Beetle that it would have done better? I think that if you had like the character posters that would have been shared on Twitter and social media, you had multiple instead of just the one trailer and a couple international trailers that were pretty much the same thing but in other languages. You actually had multiple trailers. You could have had like a featurette on the grandma or on Jaime. I just don't think the movie. I mean, look, when they announced there was a Blue Beetle movie, everybody went, "What the hell's a Blue Beetle?" It's like, to be fair, when they announced fighting an uphill battle. I also said the same thing. When they announced Black Panther, I was like, "Who cares about that?" But people did. But Wakanda was built in as like this, black person moment. No, it was built in as a cultural moment. That's what I'm saying. Blue Beetle is not. It was marketed that way. Black Panther is not the character is not like some black American thing. Well, but Black Panther was a much more popular comic book character, and it represents an entire cultural identity. I don't think it was actually though. In Marvel, it was a pretty popular character. Blue Beetle has been around since the late 20s, dude. I mean, I'm not saying how long it's been around. I'm saying popularity-wise, because Black Panther is also the name of a political organization. No, yeah, but the Black Panther comic books were never that popular. Like that. I'm just saying it's more representative of Black freedom. Do you understand? I get what you're saying. But so if this had been like, get across the border Beetle. No, it's not racist. No, it's not. It is not racist to say people travel across. That's the identity that most of the Hispanic people that live in America didn't get here legally. Either one of their ancestors got here illegal. In general, 90% of the ones who live here, that's how they got here.
That's their identity.
That's what I'm saying, though. If you
right?
watch this movie,
Or if you want to call them Cinco de Mayo Beetle, maybe.
if you watch this movie, though, it is very much about Hispanic culture, but
Sure.
they didn't market it that way. They didn't market it properly. Meanwhile, Black Panther was marketed as this big cultural event for African American people.
It was. But now the question is would DC do that? Would DC market it as a large Latino cultural event?
They marketed Barbie as a woman's thing.
Well, unfortunately, the Latino people, they don't get the same moniker that Black people do. So slavery puts Black people at the higher victim status as Latin American people. If you look at it, there's not as much racism against Latino people, maybe because they're half white. I don't know what the deal is, but they definitely don't get that victim status as much as other races do. And so you're not going to have that cultural moment. It's hard. Let me think about it. You know how hard it is to have a cultural Latin moment, because they're not recognized as subverted human beings to any degree yet.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
There's so many things you're saying that are like,
listen, if you're offended, I'm sorry.
I'm not
Tune
offended.
into another channel.
I think that I think you're just wrong on a lot of things you're saying. Like you're saying things that are.
I am not wrong.
Yes, you are.
So I'm wrong that you think that Latino people are more racially subjugated than Black people have been historically.
I think that you're equating a small portion of American history to 150 years of history, to hundreds and hundreds of years of history.
Are you talking about Latino people? Oh no, be more clear. Latino people or Black people?
South American.
What was their
Spain? Mexican Hispanic people come primarily from South America, so Native American, Indians.
Oh, nobody cares about that stuff. They only care about what the white people did to them. So if the white
look
people,
at white people, Spaniards came. Okay, Spaniards came over and
Spaniards don't count.
Indians.
Americans brought slaves. The slaves came to America, and white American families, embraced slavery and had slaves working on their farms. Now, here's the deal: the whole stuff with Columbus and all that stuff. He's not tied to America. Okay, he was a Portuguese. He was actually Portuguese.
So what I'm saying I don't care what the general consensus is, because people don't pay attention to history and they only complain about the last thing that they saw on fucking Reddit. I'm saying
nobody watches. Listen, the majority of people don't look at Reddit. I'm talking about the people who are at home. If you want to create a cultural moment, Blue Beetle, I don't know if they could have created a cultural moment for a tired superhero franchise that everybody's fucking tired of superhero movies. I don't want to watch another damn I haven't seen Blue Beetle. You want to know why? I don't want to watch another superhero movie. And I'm just tired of it. And that's why people aren't going to the theater.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I did, because we were going to talk about it. And I didn't want to go watch that either, but I did.
Okay.
So, I mean,
that's fair.
Here's the thing. So I didn't want to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I didn't want to watch Blue Beetle. I didn't want to go watch The Flash.
You watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Well, that was good. The first one was good.
Okay.
And it was about the art. It was about the way it was made. So,
all I'm saying is my annoyance is that there's actually a pretty good film here that has a lot of heart and is very respectful to Hispanic culture, and it's a really wonderful little movie. And especially, let's say you're not Hispanic and you just want to watch a good movie. It is a fun watch with really likable characters. If you are Hispanic, you're going to get so much more out of this movie because of all the sort of inside jokes and things in the background and the Spanglish they use. It's really a great little movie, and it's effectively going to bomb, even though it only costs $110 million or something like that to make. It's not even going to make its budget back, which sort of sucks.
It's not just Blue Beetle's fault. It's also timing. Anything that's coming after Barbenheimer is screwed. The problem is that, people only have so much money right now to go to the theater with. I've heard everybody talk about it. If you've got a family of 4, you're going to spend over $100 at the theater. Okay. And it's hard to go see, if you've gone to see Barbie and Oppenheimer, it's hard to say 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you're going to now go see Blue Beetle. It's hard.
Yeah.
You're saving it for these movies that that are really worth going to see. They can just, I'll just watch that thing on streaming on Max in like 2 or 3 months. You know, that's why, I mean, not people are tired of superhero movies. You know, I mean, I love the kid playing the Blue Beetle, and I'll watch it just for that reason. But
he's really great in this movie.
Yeah. But I wouldn't get upset that people aren't going to see Blue Beetle because of the marketing.
As a DC head, as someone who loves DC and I've been waiting my entire life to see a proper DC franchise taken off. But instead, what I've gotten is, 15 Batmans, 7 Supermans, and 14 Flashes. And instead of getting a cohesive franchise where I can actually hear, listen, and watch stories, that exist within my favorite universe. Instead, I get this hodgepodge, this poorly managed, this fractured, shattered, throw anything at the wall and see what happens kind of nonsense over the last 35 years of me watching movies and TV. It is a nightmare to be a DC fan because there is little nuggets of shit that you're like, I like this, but they won't continue it. Or little things.
Well, you got a Marvel hangover, bro. That's what it is. Marvel did such a good job that it's made, because listen, the first 2 Superman movies were fantastic. Then Man of Steel came out, and those movies were great.
Right, but they're not continuing the franchise. But
nobody did that until Marvel. No one did that.
That's true. Which I would argue.
Right.
Guess what? Someone already did it. DC, look at what they're doing and literally fucking copy them.
Right, but they couldn't afford to slow roll it because they didn't have enough money at Warner Brothers.
They could afford a lot of other crap that didn't make a penny.
We talked about this. Remember how Warner Brothers, the reason why they didn't do the, let's bring out each character is they are playing catch up. Right? They want to start out with a Wonder Woman movie and then do a Batman.
They wanted to beat the
Avengers.
Why would you do that though?
Because they're stupid and they made a lot of stupid decisions. And right up until they hired this new guy, David Zaslav to run Warner Brothers. They just were making terrible choices, and not worried about the content more than the bottom line. And, if you create good content, the bottom line will take care of itself. The things about, artistry that makes sense. If you create good things, people are going to come watch it and pay for it. So they just didn't trust themselves and kept changing things. The studio got way too involved in every cut, if a studio is getting involved with the cut of a movie, then you're fucked. I mean, I'm sorry.
We're going to talk about the every cut. Like the studio is like, we want the trailer company to make the movie.
That's so stupid. It was a great trailer. It was the greatest trailer of all time.
It really was. It was an amazing trailer. But look, guys, I make pretty good trailers. Okay?
Yeah, you do.
When you watch our videos, usually the beginning, like 30 seconds of the video, is like basically a trailer for what's gonna come. I am really good at making trailers. I could not make a movie. I guarantee you, I wouldn't be able to tell the story required. I can edit the movie with someone's direction and writing.
Right.
But a trailer is different than making a cohesive, compelling movie.
Right. And that shows the level of incompetence. Like a movie studio should know that. Like it's cutting a movie isn't just having a good editor. It's also having like the direction of the director, the person who had everything shot, like being in their mind. A good editor can partner with the director to get the director's vision. It's not the editor's vision of what you shot. It's the director's vision, because they shot it a certain way in the first place anyways. And you see that coming through in that original Suicide Squad movie. It just was an incredible disappointment.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so looking at these numbers, Blue Beetle is top of the food chain right now because there's nothing else. Like Barbie is in its...
Are you looking at last weekend, or what is the number you're looking at?
I'm looking at just Box Office Mojo.
Overall?
What is this weekend chart? August 18th to the 20th. So,
Okay, so the weekend, yeah. So yeah, Blue Beetle had 25 million. You seen that?
So Blue Beetle overtook Barbie finally, but let's be
Mhm.
honest, Blue Beetle is in its first week, Barbie's in its fifth week, and it barely beat Barbie by a few million.
That's frightening, yeah.
Oppenheimer's at number 3, at about half that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in its third week saw a significant drop. This is actually, like in its third week, it is really it's lost the majority of its momentum, so it's on its way out, which makes sense because they did also announce that it's coming to streaming in 2 weeks, so it makes sense that a lot of people are like, don't need to watch it.
I'll wait. Yeah.
Right. Meg to the Trench. I want to talk about this real quick.
But what about Strays? Did you miss Strays?
I'm gonna go back to Strays. Give me a second.
Okay.
I want to talk about this next Warner Brothers movie because Warner Brothers is 1, 2, 3 of the top 10 movies here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Meg to the Trench came out. There, once again, the marketing, whether you like the movie or not, the marketing is not very good. There was one trailer, and they're blaming it on the fact that actors can't talk about it. They can't do late night shows or talk shows. They can't market their movies. Blah blah blah.
But that probably has something to do with it, though, a little bit.
But there's other ways to market a movie other than actors. There's so much you can do still that has nothing to do with the actors, just with the footage you already have.
Right. The problem is that the actors talking about it isn't as costly as.
Oh yeah, it's free. It's cost effective.
Right.
And the other way means they have to create things that are put out there in order to get people excited for your movie. So this movie in its third week, saw a 47% decrease. It's made a total of $66 million. It made $6 million. The budget for Meg to the Trench was double what Blue Beetle was, just so you know.
My God.
It's a wild thing, man.
Why?
Hey, what's crazy is that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is still making money in its 6th week. It's about to hit streaming. All right. And Sound of Freedom's doing rather well, too. So let's go to Strays. So Strays is an interesting... also, by the way, Universal has 3 on the top... top 11. Strays is sort of like this sort of edgelord comedy about talking dogs, and they sort of say inappropriate things. I hate these kind of movies, and I'll tell you why.
Right.
Because my kids see the trailer or the TikTok or the short or whatever, and they're like, I want to say maybe Daddy. And I'm like, hell no. I just saw the Red Band trailer where he talked about anal sex with another dog.
And that's why the movie's at 8.2 million.
Right.
Because it's not for kids, and it's barely for adults.
It's barely for adults. It's for
adults don't really want to see dogs talking either.
It's for
so
like 20-something-year-olds that are blazed out of their mind
right.
on a Thursday night with no school the next day. That's what it's for.
You know your lane. Now the good news is that Strays probably didn't cost a lot.
I mean, it's animated. Had to have cost.
Is it animated? Is it no? It's is it animated or is it? I mean, it's live action, right?
There's a lot of animation in this, dude.
Well, I mean, they have to do CG, but
yes, it is live action.
Not animated.
Yes,
okay.
but there's still a ton of animating that has to happen for this to work.
So the budget's 46 million for Strays, and you can expect that, I didn't see a lot of advertising on it either, but you generally double the budget. So if this thing needs to make 100 million in order to really work.
Yeah, it's basically a rated R children's movie. Like, that's what it is. It's a movie that really should be only kids are going to appreciate, and parents will normally take their kids to watch it because it's not horrible. But bottom line is, most people don't want to watch this. Most adults don't want to watch this. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's pretty crude,
I mean, even I don't have a problem with crude humor. I just don't care about watching talking dogs. Like, I don't know how I got to be pretty high to actually care about watching this movie. Like, I didn't even consider watching this movie in the theaters. And I like crude humor. I appreciate it, actually.
So it's been out a week. It's made $10 million in its first week, and it's not going to make $100 million.
No.
Let me look at the.
I see 8 million at box office.
Yeah, well, I clicked on Box Office Mojo, and I guess total up till now is 10. Look at the worldwide numbers on it. You know, maybe it'll get some. I don't know what country wants to watch. Wants to watch this seat too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who has. I mean, I think that
12 million worldwide. So
I think potheads are gonna love this movie.
Sure, and it's got, you know, of course, it's got, you know, the greatest comedian on the planet right now,
Kevin Hart.
With Kevin Hart, and who is in Strays?
I do like Kevin Hart.
No, he's great, and he's going to make it funny. You know, he's also in that the animated Pets movie. He plays the rabbit.
Yeah, I remember he plays the rapping fluffy bunny.
Which I didn't really like that character that much, to be honest with you.
My kids lost their minds every time it.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude,
rapped.
Will Ferrell's in this movie. He's playing one of the other dogs. I mean, listen, when Will Ferrell and I'm sorry, it's not it's Jamie Foxx.
No, it's Jamie Foxx. So it's not even Kevin Hart.
It's not Kevin Hart. It's Jamie Foxx. But look, I mean, Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx. I mean, it's fantastic. Isla Fisher's in it. You know, so they really got some good voices. Will Forte, even Sofia Vergara. So I mean, it looks like it has.
I like to refer to her as mommy.
So I just don't think it has a lane. Like, it's not for kids. It's for adults, but you know, it looks like it's for kids. I just think it's confusing.
All right. So what movie is coming out this week, brother?
Upcoming box office. It's probably not going to matter, to be honest with you.
Gran Turismo.
No, it didn't already come out.
No, it comes out this week. It came out this week. Actually, comes out today.
Well, I don't care about that movie.
Yeah, so it's actually based. Well, so what's interesting about it is it's actually based on a true story. Based on, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty loose interpretation, but it's interesting. It's a gamer that is so good at the game Gran Turismo that he and because the game was created perfectly based on the actual tracks they use. They basically train him to be an actual race car driver because he understands the tracks so well. It's an interesting concept. I'm not going to rush out to see it, but I will certainly be watching it on streaming at the very least. Also, Jurassic Park.
Well, wait. Let me my turn to talk.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I watched this. I went and saw a lot of movies this summer, guys. A lot. Mm-hmm. And Gran Turismo was at the beginning of every single one of those damn movies.
Every single one.
And so if you watch the trailer, you've seen the whole movie, unfortunately. So by the time I've watched that trailer 10, 15 times now, I now have no desire to watch the movie. So there it is.
Okay.
And that happens. That's why you gift. If you gift, you want to get people interested in something. But if you watch that trailer, it tells you the whole story. You know exactly what's going to happen right up to he wins in the end. Okay. So
yeah, I'm sure the main character probably wins.
I'm just saying, like, there's still no, you don't know. You shouldn't know that. I mean, we can assume it, but you shouldn't show it in the trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? It's just, there's too much. Sometimes you show too much in the trailer.
Okay. There's also Jurassic Park, the 30th anniversary coming out. And you're going to help me out on this one. I racked my brain trying to figure out why I would want to go see this movie. Having already seen the movie. And I'm like, what's different about it? I Googled it. I Reddited it. I asked everyone I could. No one knows. There's no clear distinction on what is special about the 30th anniversary Jurassic Park. I think that it might literally just be the original theatrical movie 30 years later.
Yep, that's it.
Why
It's going to be in the theaters.
Why the fuck would anyone pay to watch this movie?
I mean, some people maybe somebody who never got to see it in the theater, as a big Jurassic Park fan, let's say you're younger and you didn't get to see it, but these are movies we saw in the theater. Imagine being able to go see Star Wars, came out in 77. So,
I was actually, when the special edition came out, I was able to go watch it when I was in my teens.
Yeah, there you go. And it was cool experience, right?
Well, but it was different. It was different than the movie I had already seen.
Well, now remember, seeing it on a small TV and seeing it on a big screen is two different. It is worth it. I mean, if you
that's an argument when there was small screens, but everyone has big screens now.
I mean, I'm sorry, but there is still something greater to the movie experience. Like, when I go see a movie, it's better than seeing it at my house.
I'll tell you what the difference is. There isn't a kid pausing the thing every 5 minutes. Your wife's not asking you about why the trash wasn't taken out or what bill you didn't pay. No one is interrupting you. It's nice and dark, and no one can turn the damn movie off. They can't stop you from enjoying it. The only reason the theater works for me...
We see how it goes for you.
...is because I can take my family to the movie and say, shut up.
Okay, well, we got different reasons for watching it because that's not my experience. But
because I have a big screen, I don't need the screen to enjoy it.
Well, maybe you've set up your experience to be like a movie theater experience.
Yes, I have surround sound, and I have like those theatrical lights that actually respond to what's happening on TV. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, I don't have any of that stuff. So you literally turn my TV on. The sound comes from the TV.
What?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Oh, you need to get a sound bar. Go get a $40 sound bar.
No, because you had the sound bar, I couldn't understand a damn thing they were saying.
Oh, because it was set up wrong, dude. Just get a cheap Vizio sound bar and it'll change your life.
No, I had a cheap Vizio sound bar. It didn't work for me. In fact, I gave it to my kid.
Oh so my God, bro.
That's it. That's how I watch it.
You're a disaster. You need me to come to your house and fix everything. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to get you a sound bar. I'm going to install your lights, bro. You need a tech guy to help.
I do need a tech guy
to bring you into this. It's 2023, man.
Oh, that's
Shane's so far away. Like I always want to come to his house and help him, but I don't really want to drive 5 hours.
I'm a tech invalid, guys. Tech invalid. Okay, so that's it for box office, right? So we think Gran Turismo, it's probably not going to do well. I just think there's this hangover from Barbenheimer that's going to probably go until, let's look at the next really good upcoming movie.
I got to tell you, you know what's going to be a disaster, my friends? Do you want to know what's going to be an absolute wrecking ball to DC Studios?
What's that?
When Aquaman 2 comes out, the movie that made $1.4 billion, when it comes out in like a month and a half or whatever, and it does $40 million total, this is going to be a disaster for DC. Consider, when does it come out? I'll tell you.
Let's see.
All right, it comes out December 20th. So it comes out in December. So in December, when Aquaman comes out, the movie that that joined the $1 billion club, and it's not gonna be successful. It's gonna bomb. Because everything's bombing right now that's not clearly tied into what DC's doing. Like all these movies are just sort of like leftovers from the previous regime. I know they don't want to say that, but that's really what they are. So what's happening is they're just not getting the attention that they probably deserve. It's not gonna do well, dude.
Well, I'm looking at like A Haunting in Venice, which has Michelle Yeoh in it. That might be interesting. I think people will show up to see that. That's another one of those like whodunit mysteries. That's coming out in September 15th. So that might be the next one. After that, you've got this. People are sleeping on this one. The Creator by 20th Century Studios. That's September 29th. That's sci-fi. And I think that's going to be interesting. At least I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Is it in another language?
The creator? I don't think so. No.
It's sci-fi. That's actually like in English. High budget. I don't recognize any of these actors.
Yep. It's John David Washington. Hopefully you recognize him.
Oh,
and it's
cool.
Ken Watanabe. I mean,
that's the guy from Ballers. Yeah, I do recognize him.
Yeah, no, these are A-list, A to B,
cool.
B+ actors. So I mean, it's
a proper sci-fi movie.
Right.
Wait. Guys, another post-apocalyptic thriller. I'm sure it's gonna be fine, but I'm tired of the I'm tired of this dystopian crap.
They're all that way, bro.
I know.
It's Star Trek or nothing, man.
I'm just so tired of it.
I know. So we've got that coming up. You've got, if you're a Saw fan, Saw 10 comes out at the same time.
Oh, what about 57 Seconds? That's a sci-fi movie.
It's not listed as a main release. It's not listed as a main release.
Really?
Strangely enough. It's not. I know. Isn't that funny? It's not listed as a top release. It's also by the Avenue Entertainment. So it's Morgan. I don't know why Morgan would need to go to like B flick level.
Oh, he might be doing the same thing that Bruce Willis did and just trying to make money on the way out.
Yep.
I mean,
and then of course you got The Exorcist coming out in October, which is going to be, I think it's going to be a very visually frightening movie.
What about Divinity with Stephen Dorff and Bella Thorne? And Scott Bakula?
When's that?
What?
When's that one?
October 13th.
October 13th.
Scott Bakula's in it. It's a science fiction movie.
Divinity. It's by Utopia.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen.
Bella Thorne is so hot. It's crazy. All right. Well, all right.
Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on until you got Aquaman 2 and
well, no.
you've got
Not say Freddy's going to do something. That'll make some waves.
It will, yeah, because you got a lot of young people who are going to go see that. You and I don't. Do you care about it?
I mean, I like the idea of it. Like, look, I like horror movie when there's like a mystery or like some science fiction wrapped into it. Like, I loved the movie Slither. Like, loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horror movie, but there was more to it than just some guy on a murder spree. Like, so many horror movies are like either supernatural, where you don't actually understand the universe very well or what their abilities are, and they seemingly can do whatever they want to suit the story, which to me is lazy. Or it's about like an unstoppable killer that also seemingly does whatever he wants to suit the story. Like every single damn Scream movie. It's like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure out this man who. I watched every single Scream movie, Shane.
You can't.
And every one, I tried to figure out who it was, and I never watched them. This is recent. About 4 months ago, I watched all the Scream movies.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
You can't figure that mystery out. There are things in that movie that they contradict themselves. Nothing about it makes any sense. And when they reveal the kill, you're like, how? How is it even possible? It's basically just nonsense. So most horror is either like that, or it's a supernatural thing where there's also like no specific rules for you to really bank on. So it's hard for me to get behind horror because I don't really care about being scared. I want the story aspect of it. Or it's slasher like Saw or whatever, which also I have no interest in body horror. But then
Saw is not a slasher. It's psychological.
Okay, so maybe I should give it a go then.
No, you would like the first. You watch the first several Saw movies, and you're like,
There's
damn,
several of them.
Dude, this is the 10th movie.
What?
Yes,
there's
coming
10
out.
Saw
10 is coming out. Yeah,
you know what's?
Let me tell you,
you always say you watch everything, bro. I have never seen a Saw movie.
It's because you don't like horror.
No, I think I saw the first one actually.
Yeah, I mean it's a mystery, So and it is.
So I like
it's psychological.
I like some horror. Like I like Slither. I like the Happy Death Day. I like
Human Centipede. Yeah.
No, I don't see. I didn't like Human Centipede. That's just like gross nonsense.
I don't think Happy Death Day can be a horror story.
It's more what? So what is it? Sci-fi?
It's like campy teen sci-fi or whatever.
That's a cool movie.
I like it. I like the movie, but it's like it's very young person.
You know what I loved about that movie
Directly.
is that they told you who the killer was in the first 5 minutes.
But you didn't know. You couldn't figure it out by that.
But when you rewatch it, you're like, why is she? I don't want to spoil it. Why is this person so insistent on this?
Well, yeah, because you didn't see it in the first. Yeah, of course, on the rewatch, you're gonna know.
All of a sudden, with context, you're like, that bitch.
For such a dumb reason. That's what I was talking about. But Five Nights at Freddy's, my kids all played it. It only came out probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. So that right now it's a great time to make this movie because all the kids who started playing it originally are grown-ups. So they can go watch it. It is rated R. So my kids want to see it, and I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I
don't really care to see it, but I mean, it's basically Chuck E. Cheese. You know, they come alive and start killing people. So
what about So I'm a big fan of like Blumhouse movies or Blumhouse. I'm not even sure how to say this guy's name.
I don't know either.
You know what I'm talking about.
Blumhouse, yeah.
But he does a lot of horror that has like a little more to it than just surface
usually
level.
Yeah,
like what's that movie?
A24 will scare the crap out of you. You watch their movies.
What's
Those
it called?
are scary movies. It's the A24 studios. A24.
Oh,
they're making scary stuff.
Is there actual like? Is there something to it, or is it just scary?
They're scary.
Yeah. See, I want an actual story.
But no, they're actual stories that are scary. So something isn't scary just because somebody's running around with a knife. That doesn't make something scary. Something makes scary is when you're like, oh shit, is that real? That's what makes it scary.
Mm.
So, if you want, I mean, there's a big difference between like a drama and a horror. There's a big difference between like a thriller and horror. Horror has to have an element of really something screwed up going on. There's people dying in a very gruesome way. It has to terrify you. Thrillers don't really terrify you, but horror movies do. But I'll be very curious. I mean, I'm probably going to go watch it because I do have kids.
Did you like Fantasy Island?
Yeah, it was great, but it wasn't a horror movie.
It wasn't a horror movie?
Hell no. It was just a thriller.
It felt like a horror movie to me.
What, did it scare you?
No, I didn't. I mean, also, no, but it was meant to scare you.
I don't know.
It wasn't. You don't think that was a super clever way of rebooting that whole franchise?
I did. I thought it was fantastic. I really loved the way they did it. I thought it was great, but I don't think it was a horror movie. And I'm sorry, I don't really think that. I'm not even sure that the movie we were just talking about are really true horror movies.
Saw?
No. Whatever, the slasher, the one I just totally blanked.
Scream?
Scream. I mean, I don't know. The ones where it's like real people, where it's like real people killing people, to me aren't true horror movies. There's got to be some sort of supernatural element to it or some sort of otherworldly thing occurring.
So you like the supernatural concept?
I do. I mean, I think that's what true horror comes from. The Amityville Horror was, I mean, the reality of Amityville Horror was a guy killed his parents and possibly did it with multiple people, killed his family, but it was delivered to us as like some sort of biblical thing.
I have a hard time buying off on the supernatural stuff.
Well, I don't need to believe in it in order to, to think, wow, could that be real?
No, my problem is I have a hard time buying off on it because like I don't understand the rules. Like, what is this ghost capable of? What are they allowed to do?
And that's what's terrifying. No, that's what's terrifying.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. That's lazy to me. That means you can do whatever you want.
Well, that's the whole point is you don't, as a human being, you don't know what they're capable of because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
So therefore it can do anything. That's what makes it scary.
Yeah. So
if a guy has a knife, I can stop him from stabbing me.
See, that doesn't make it scary to me. That to me, that makes it cheap. Like I like the show Supernatural because there were rules. Like you knew what they were capable of or not. And there was
I mean not completely.
No, there are rules. There were some rules in that show where once you went now most normally in the show, like the regular people didn't know the rules, so they were constantly killed and murdered and maimed by ghosts and werewolves and all kinds of crap. But what made the brothers in Supernatural so powerful was not that they had supernatural abilities, was that they understood the rules of the universe in which they operated.
Or they understood, they had the tools. Not that they understood. I mean,
No,
they
knew
and
that
knowledge.
like iron affected a ghost, and salt would keep out spirits, and werewolves were affected by this particular type of metal at this particular time of day. Like, they understood the rules and the weaknesses of all of the players involved, and they were able to,
So you were, which means you were less scared for them when they were in dangerous situations. I'm talking about like horror being in a situation where it's kind of out of your control and you're lucky if you survive. So maybe there's different elements, different types of horror. I don't think you can lump horror all into one thing.
I guess you're right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I think there's different. If you're stuck in Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
I hate those movies.
You're gonna have a hard time. Have a hard time surviving.
I understand that's sacrilegious or whatever, but like, I just didn't like Texas Chainsaw. I had no interest in it whatsoever.
No, I wasn't a huge fan of.
You know what I did like though? Jeepers Creepers.
Well, Jeepers Creepers was good. It was really well written and it was scary.
And and there was a supernatural element and a sci-fi almost element. And there were rules. So what about that? There were rules,
sort of.
I mean, yeah, this thing came out at a certain time of the day. It was capable of certain
things.
There
were some boundaries, but you didn't know what all the boundaries were.
You didn't know, but you were there with the main characters when they were discovering those guardrails, right?
Sure. So there's some, but all good horror has some sort of boundaries so that the person can perhaps win. But
Amityville horror is not like the Amityville thing. If the ghost is just like does whatever it wants.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the unknown. Is like when a priest comes in and is supposed to protect you, and the priest can't protect you. Oh my God, we're screwed, right? That's the whole idea of it. Mm-hmm. If you do, I don't know, if you do like a traditional horror movie, like Friday the 13th is a great example. Like the first couple Friday the 13th movies are great. Yeah. You got this guy who was supposed to have been killed as a baby, and he doesn't, you find out he's not really dead. But then when they kill him at the end, he comes back to life, and you're like, holy crap, nothing can kill this guy. He was the first of those characters, and that was terrifying.
You know what? I have this one memory that is I don't even like horror movies, but this memory I hold very dear in my heart. Mm-hmm. Watching the first ever like crossover teaser in the end credits of a movie.
Yeah.
I think it was Jason Goes to Hell or something like that, when they had the Freddy hand come up.
Oh yeah.
And like, you understand, like, these franchises, these movies were never connected, and all of a sudden there's this movie that had like 4 movies, and that there's this end credit scene where it shows that these movies are going to be connected, right? And the whole audience lost their mind.
Oh yeah.
I remember the whole theater in like one loud. It was deafening.
Erupting. Yeah. Well, there's 6 words that explain that. It's called how can we make more money?
Right.
So, and they say, put them together. I mean, it makes sense. At some point you can only make so many damn, when Jason Takes Manhattan comes out, you're like, all right, we're gonna have to figure out something else.
Well, what about Jason X in space?
Yeah, no,
when Jason gets infected with nanites and it becomes Super Jason or whatever.
Yeah, I saw it. It was, yep.
What's funny is there's actually an actress in there from Stargate that's in that. I think it's Michael Shank's wife. She's great.
That's funny.
So what about this horror movie coming out November 10th? The Marvels.
Disney goes into horror, bringing you women superheroes who don't want any men around. I don't know.
So from what I heard is when they all get on their period at the same time and they use their powers, like they swap powers by accident.
Is it because of the period, or are you just saying that?
That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is. I'm not trying to be
rude. It just can't be. I just like, if you wrote that in there.
Because they got their powers from like the same place and they're on their cycle at the same time, like they start sharing their powers or something.
It's just, that sounds like a guy wrote that. You know what I mean? Like, it just sounds like a guy. I mean, whether it's true or not, that women do end up cycling together when they live together, it's just not something that that women want to write about. But okay, I mean, listen, I don't know what to say about that movie. I'm not really interested in seeing it, but I'm sure we will watch it. But it is a horror movie.
As bummed as I am watching DC crawl away, like it's literally crawling away from Freddy from Jason as he slowly walks behind it, and it's like there's leaving a trail of blood, and it's crying and asking for its mommy. As horrifying as it is to watch DC dying the slow death, it's equally as exhilarating to watch Marvel also be die the slow death.
Yeah,
You're gonna hate it. I can't wait for the Marvels to come out and it makes like $13 million opening weekend.
You're gonna hate November. Like I'm looking at November right now, and it's like the anti-Brian month. What do we got? We got Dune Part 2, which you hated Part 1, so you're gonna hate Dune. You've got the Marvels the next week.
Hated it.
Okay,
I hate Captain Marvel.
Then the next week you have a prequel to the Hunger Games.
I didn't even. So first off, I didn't like the Hunger Games, and I hate prequels. It's like a double whammy.
Right, and then the next week you've got Napoleon, which is a historical biopic.
I hate biopics,
and you hate those too. So yeah, it's going to be a tough November for you.
November's gonna blow, and it's my wife's birthday, and it's a significant birthday, which means I gotta spend a bunch of money and spend a bunch of time. November's gonna be hard for me. But then we get to December, and what do we got in December? Nothing in the beginning that's of note. We got Wonka. That might be fun.
No, it can't be because the guy in Dune that you hate.
Oh my God, it's Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate this guy. Bro, did they? Oh. I'm sorry, they got Mr. I'm Always Blazed out of my mind on Quaaludes to play Willy Wonka.
Well, some people would say Gene Wilder was that way, but yeah, no, you're right.
Oh my God, bro, this is nuts. No, Gene Wilder was taking acid. This guy is clearly taking downers.
Well, you do have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom coming out in December, so there you go. You'll like that.
No, but that's just going to be like the last stabbing of Jason in my beloved DC universe. Oh my God, Timothée Chalamet is Wonka? Why is this guy getting work, dude? He so sucks.
And it's a prequel.
Oh my God! It's a prequel. It's a prequel with Timothy. It's
and Hugh Grant is the Oompa Loompa.
I don't care about that. Let's make the most disappointing movie for Brian. Let's show you a poster that says Wonka 2023. Like, oh, I like Willy Wonka, and be like, it's a prequel. Okay, I guess like with Timothée Chalamet. God damn it.
Yeah, it's not looking great for
no, there's nothing.
Although I am looking forward to Napoleon.
So I got the Five Nights at Freddy's and Aquaman. That's it. There's nothing.
That's it. That's your movies.
Damn.
The Creator. I want to see that one. That's in September.
I'll watch it with you with it.
Expendables 4 coming out in September.
I never watched the first Expendables.
I didn't watch the first 3. You're right. Yeah. So that's a box office segment that lasts 48 minutes long, or however long we've been here in the box office segment. Are we trying not to talk about Ahsoka? Is that where like?
Oh, that's right, Ahsoka.
Before we go to the member section.
Oh, Deadpool 3 is coming out May 3rd
of next year.
Next year.
Okay.
That's the one thing I'm looking forward to. Oh man, next year blows too, bro. No, that's not true. We got Deadpool, Bad Boys 4. Wait, how the F? No way. How is Deadpool 3 coming out? They haven't even started shooting this yet.
Okay. Well then they haven't?
No, and they're on strike.
All right.
Wait, maybe I'm wrong. Have they?
It stopped film. Let's see. It has stopped filming as the strike gets underway with performers joining the Writers Guild. Yeah, so it's not finished.
Oh my god!
It stopped production. So yeah, whatever that maybe that was the time frame they thought they were going to release, and it just hasn't been updated.
No.
Originally,
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2. You know
that was probably in the can.
You think that's in the can?
Yeah, because they filmed at the same time they did the first one. So
I see.
that's probably in the can.
Oh, there's a Borderlands movie coming out with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Trying to figure out if I care about that. I haven't played the game, so I don't know.
I mean, if having even not playing the game, if it's using the same story, it might be cool.
I don't know what the story is. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I know it's like dystopian future.
It's a dystopian thing, yeah. But it's more like it's dystopian with a wink.
All right.
There's a little more to it. All right. Well, so that's it for the box office bicep.
And we're certain this will keep going every week, right?
Yes, we will.
All right.
Even if it might not be 48 minutes, it might be 4 minutes, but we will.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Ahsoka, because we're going to be going to the members section here in about 15 minutes. And I want to tell you what I thought about Ahsoka. Ready? Look at my face. Ready? You're going to see everything you need to see.
Let me look.
Right
I'm looking
here.
carefully.
Ready?
Okay. Yes. You prayed. Oh, I see. You slept.
Boring as all get out, dude. I had no interest in this whatsoever.
Let me ask you a couple of important questions.
I like Rosario Dawson, though. I do like her.
Did you see the Rebels TV show?
I did not.
Okay. That's the reason why you're bored. Because what I'm understanding, and I don't know, I'm assuming that's the reason why, because people who have seen Rebels have said that it's pretty good. Because it's like a continuation of that show. My question is I'm not sure why you would, create a live action show of a cartoon and not give some backstory on what's happened in this universe. Like you really do. You're lost. If you didn't watch Rebels, then you don't know what's going on and you don't understand the characters. Sabine Wren is like sad in this show. She's like upset because they lost. Now, the only reason I haven't seen Rebels either, I am considering watching it, even though I don't like cartoons a whole lot. I'm considering watching it just so I can do this, maybe. And I've heard Rebels is really good for a cartoon. But I played the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game, and I played it for like 5 years. And I got to tell you, all of those characters were in, those characters were in the game, and I actually enjoyed them quite a bit. So I'm almost, I'm figuring when we don't have a lot of content next year to consume because of this writer strike, I think I'm probably going to like go into it at that point. But I'm hearing the same thing that you're hearing, that you've got this whole thing with Ahsoka, where it's just basically a continuation, and we may not get all the answers that we need. I do know Ray Stevenson at the beginning of that first episode comes in as Baylan Skoll, and he's pretty intimidating. And I thought he played a Sith pretty well. And what's interesting about him is he actually was a voice in Star Wars Rebels, as well as the other animated series that was very popular, the Clone Wars.
Clone Wars or Bad Batch or something like that.
Yeah, and he actually played a different character, though, in that show. So it's very curious to know. He played Garon Saxon, the voice of that character in the Clone Wars, and also in and now he's playing a different character in the live action version. So I don't know if that makes sense or if it's going to bother people, but he looked pretty intimidating. I thought the beginning was interesting, but you're right. I mean, like you get lost right away. And all you learn from Sabine Wren is that, she's kind of like this, badass chick. We don't really get a whole lot of, good information, it's also, they're kind of copying the whole storyline from episode 7. Dave Filoni wrote this. And if you notice, they're like looking for a map for Thrawn. I've heard arguably that Thrawn is a really great character. I know from the game he was cool, but he's a bad guy, and apparently they're trying to get their hands on a map, which they do get their hands on to find Thrawn. Doesn't that sound like Episode 7? A map to find Luke, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but people are pretty confused if you haven't seen Rebels at this point.
Michael Nemo, we're gonna do the super chats after the story. Okay, don't worry. I haven't forgot you. I got you all queued up, brother. Yeah. So I guess I don't know enough about it to enjoy it, and none of the characters were likable to me. And once again, like with all Star Wars stuff recently, the pacing is just slow. And will I continue to watch it? No, probably not.
Okay.
And as someone who
would you be willing to watch Rebels?
I might give Rebels a shot. I don't like 3D animated cartoons though. Like I don't mind Lower Decks animation, but I don't like Prodigy animation. Does that make sense?
It doesn't to me.
And see, I like the story in Prodigy. I hate the animation style.
What's the difference? One's like 2-dimensional?
One's 2-dimensional and one looks like a children's Paw Patrol. And I can't, it's hard.
I see.
It's hard for me to divorce, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse from a real story.
And is Rebels that way?
Rebels is that way, yeah.
Oh, I see.
It's Paw Patrol animation. It's hard for me to get behind it. Okay. All right.
We also have super chats in the member section too.
Okay, I will do them right now. Yeah, so as far as Ahsoka goes, Shane, unless Shane can give me a compelling reason to keep watching at some point.
I don't really have one.
Yeah, it's just boring. And I'm not going to be tricked like I was with Andor. I'm not going to continue watching and wasting my time.
Well, and Andor, I don't felt like was a waste of time. Like once you got through Andor, it was actually good.
If you binge watch the entire thing, it would be good. It would be good, especially if you skipped like 3 episodes.
So would you say that Andor was a waste of your time after watching it?
Well, watching it week to week was like, it felt like clocking into a job at some points. There were so few moments of excitement. There was so much wasted time. If you watch it all back to back, the story makes sense. Some things are almost meant to be binged in the way they were created, and nothing kept me on the hook with Andor. It's just like, okay, I was never excited. The following, maybe a couple episodes got me excited to watch the next episode, but ultimately I was bored with most episodes.
Yeah, because they cut up a movie basically instead of, creating each as an episode where they leave you hanging on something. It would have been served great as 3 movies.
Right.
But
yeah. Okay. So that's it for Ahsoka, my friends. Now let's look at the super chats. Well, we do have a couple from, first off, Adam Leader, trying to increase his lead.
His lead.
For $10, no message.
No pun intended. Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I already forgot Goran's name.
It's Euron
Felt.
Your own. No, Euron
Felt. Also, Euron Felt for $10. Thank you. No message.
Thank you.
Michael Nemo for $3. He says, thank you, by the way, Mike. He says, of Hispanic descent here, and I know of very few Hispanics that know of Blue Beetle. Jaime was always lame to me. Ted Cord, however, was the shit for me. Yeah, Ted Cord's in the movie, or in a way. And I'm right there with you, Michael Nemo. Another one from Michael Nemo for $3. Huge swaths of Latinos in Texas that never crossed the border. That's just because Texas was Mexico back in the day.
There is an element of that. You're right.
Suddenly my ancestors were American by default.
Yeah, that is true. So people who live there and they cut out the border of Texas down to the Rio Grande. You're absolutely right.
Also, another one from Michael Nemo.
California as well, by the way.
Right. That's true. For years, I saw Rear Window on TV, and when it finally got released in theater, it was a completely different experience. Is that the one with Christopher Reeves?
No, well, there might have been a remake with him. That does sound familiar, but Rear Window was originally done by Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, I did watch a Christopher Reeves Rear Window. It's a guy who's like disabled and he lives in a house that has like all this assistive material technology, right?
Yeah, he was in a movie called Rear Window. You're right. I mean, that must have been a remake. It was a 1998 thriller. So yeah, so that was probably a remake of the original Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, so I guess I never watched the
Yeah, the original Alfred Hitchcock Rear Window was actually really famous because it had James Stewart in it, Grace Kelly, Raymond Burr, some pretty famous people in that movie. That was 1954.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I'm glad. I mean, I'm sure that it could.
What happened there? Did you have like a mind? Did you have like a?
I mean, like
a mind blink?
I think that if people are watching it on, let's say a 32-inch OLED screen, which is I think the most common size TV is 32 inches. OLED is the most common technology right now. Meanwhile, I got an 84-inch, blacker than black LCD. I've tuned it to near perfect conditions. I'm using film FPS. I've purposely downscaled it from 30 FPS to 23.9.
What in the hell are you talking about?
My television.
What about it?
I have a very large TV.
Yeah.
I've interpolated the frames to film, so it's not like a TV, but it's more like a film.
Okay.
I'm using high quality HDMI with a killer surround sound that is literally surround. And I have all the lights and everything. So when I watch a movie in my living room, the experience in my living room versus a theater, the only real difference is the surroundings.
Got it.
I'm not seeing much of a difference in.
But you're pretty different than everybody else. Not many people will go to the lengths you go through. I mean, we did tell the story about how you could not watch. We had to return a TV because you could not watch on that TV.
Oh my God.
We've told that story too many times. We'll tell it in the member section.
You got a great point. We'll tell it in the member section. But we literally had to return a TV because the FPS was breaking my brain.
So I'm like, I don't know if you can really say that your experience is the same as
I guess you're right. Yeah, I do not like high FPS, by the way, on movies and TV. I like it in video games. If I'm playing Counter-Strike or Dota, I want my 150 FPS. But when it comes to TV and movies, okay, you need to drop that sucker down to 20 or 24 FPS. Not lower than that, but stick at that. Just stick with 24 FPS, tops 30. Do not go to 60 FPS. It's a bad experience. Anyways.
All right. A couple more super chats in the member section too.
Yeah, I want it. Shane this is from Euron Felt. For 20 sec, he says, thank you, Euron. Shane is not wrong, and yes, Brian is not wrong. I think we're talking about the Black Panther Hispanic thing.
Yeah. Oh.
John Burns for $2. Thank you, John. He says, there's Brian playing the race card, driver card.
That was back when we were talking about Gran Turismo.
Yeah. And then another one for Euron. Thank you, Euron. Like in Bones Season 4, Episode 14 with the Ghosts. You're talking about Hero in the Fold. And I know that episode really, really well. And I swear, so it brought back the Gravedigger, and it was like this thriller, and you're like, is this show that is all about science and disproving supernatural things because the main character is a scientist, an archaeologist? Did they show us an entire episode where they want us to believe in ghost? I remember I remember that episode actually bothering me because I'm like, it was so the opposite of everything else the series told you to believe in. So I'm with you, but I also didn't like it for that reason.
Yeah,
If
Bones
you guys haven't
was a
seen
pretty good
Bones,
show.
Bones is a pretty good show. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that episode, the ghost episode?
I don't remember it. I vaguely recall it, but yeah, I actually like that show for its kind of the way the girl was. Very analytical.
Yeah, right. But then Bones was like seeing ghosts and stuff. I mean, sorry, not Bones.
What's his name?
Booth.
David. Yeah.
David Boreans.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Arroy Borealis. Yeah, I actually know that episode well, and I don't like that episode. I know some people love it because it's like heart, it's like it has like a lot of heart, but like I feel like it was opposite of what what a Bones show would have actually given us. Almost like someone else wrote it. Ghost. I'm sorry. Was it not a ghost? Am I remembering it wrong?
I don't know. I got a vague recollection of that.
I remember it was like Booth was like seeing a ghost. Anyways,
as Archmage Frey says, he was an angel. Hint, 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 hint. David.
You know what's funny is I think Bones did a crossover with.
I don't. I
It
didn't go
did
that
a
deep.
crossover with that weird supernatural show about the headless horseman.
Oh, Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, yeah.
Though they were all trying to get on the action together there.
Yeah, everyone. Okay, my friends. All right, so we're going to be heading to the members section. Shane, how do they join us in the members section?
Well, I guess you can stay right here and you'll be directed. Correct?
That's correct.
But for the low cost of $2.99 a month, you can be a member and come and listen to us say all the things that we didn't say in public, in private. And for some reason, even though I don't think we're really safe there, it feels safer. So we just say stupid things and interesting things. So come over and hang out with us. Yeah. And if not, I do want to let everybody know we do have.
You can't find us in here. Don't worry.
If you like fantasy football, we still have a couple slots open on our fantasy football, which the draft for us is going to be August 28th next. I thought I did it after a Thursday.
Oh my God,
maybe
I just spammed the chat by accident. Sorry, guys.
So
I meant to post that twice.
If you're interested, hit us up at Popcast. What is our freaking email? Popcast@gmail.com.
It's DAPOPCAST@gmail.com. Or come to Discord.
Or come to Discord and let us know you want to play. I think we have a slot or two left, and we'd love to fill up the league before we get started. And it's a lot of fun because it's all fans of the show and us. And Shine 3 is also playing. He's picking his own team and all the good stuff. Our AI. So
yes,
it'll be fun.
I got all the Streamlabs chats, my friend.
And let's say congrats to Adam Leader, who is our Popcast hero, stream hero of the day.
Adam Leader is the stream hero.
Adam Leader, hit me up with your information and your shirt size, and we're gonna send you a grab bag, which will be basically 3 surprise shirts that you'll get in the mail, and we'll hook you up.
And don't worry, they're not from my closet. They're new shirts.
No, they're well, if you're Brian's size, maybe they're from Brian's closet. So, just saying.
All right, thank you, Kenneth, for reminding me. Yeah, we got them all, my friend. Okay, we're going to the member section. You guys can join us there. It's really simple. Click on the link in the description, or click on the link in the chat, or do nothing. And if you wait long enough, it'll redirect you, or at least give you a little window at the very end in which to click, and you can join us. We would love to get some new members because we did lose about 38 members in the Barbie. We lost 38 members because of Barbie. I'm calling
it the Barbocalypse.
Barbie-geddon. The
Barbie-geddon
incident lost us 38 members. So if you want to throw us a cup of coffee and become a member, that would be awesome. And I guarantee you it's a fun time. Okay. The water's warm. Shane peed in it. We'll see you next week. Have an awesome day if you don't see us in the membership.